Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 66 of the Bonehead Podcast, where we talk all things Blood Bowl. Welcome back, I'm Ben, and once again I'm joined by Blood Tithe Ben.
Hello.
How you doing, man? All right?
I'm doing good. Yeah. Have you been outside? Have you been into the wide world? Actually, you work in the wide world, don't you?
Well, I have to drive through the wild world to get to my works. Yeah, but that's about it. But no, I haven't been outside for a couple of days. It's been nice. I've just been indoors filming Death Zone stuff and, painting miniatures for a game that is now deceased, which is incredibly, what's the word? Rewarding.
Hilarious. Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll go with the water.
Yeah, not super. I was like, well, you know what? Blood Bowl's in a great place at the moment. Let's do something else. Let's go for something else. Let's go for something more generic fantasy. Let's go in deep on Cursed City, and then it died in 8 days.
Yeah, it no longer exists.
Hang on,
never happened.
When did it come out? Was it Saturday the 10th?
It was actually. This is not even 8 days. It is.
So I've had the game for a week. And it is now dead. And I've done a really good job painting stuff. Like, I've got things painted for it. I was like, this is wicked. I'm going to be able to record some gameplay videos like early next week. It's going to be fun. And now I don't really want to record videos for it because no one can buy the game. Like, it's so
bizarre.
It's weird, man. I mean, the channel is certainly not about views and stuff because we do it on Blood Bowl. We don't do it on 40k or AOS, and that's where the views would be. We do this because Blood Bowl is the best game. But I thought it might be nice to try and do something creative and do something slightly different with a different style. And it died. Like, just horrific. Anyway, we've got about 10 copies each, so we're solid.
Don't advertise that, Ben.
No. One copy. I got Entoyment's demo copy because, in Pete's words, why would I demo a game I can't sell? I'm like, well,
wow, yeah, that says it all, doesn't it?
So I went to get it from Pete, and I was like, Pete, normally we take the demo copy early so we can show it off and tell people to come and buy the game from you. And he got 15 of his initial 50 copies, and they were like, oh, I don't know if you're going to get any more. So Pete was like, yeah, take it anyway, Ben. Just take it away. I was like, okay,
wow. Well,
thank you. So it didn't bother doing an unboxing because it felt really weird. But I didn't want to be like, hey, check out this awesome game. Like, look at all these cool parts, and none of you can buy it. Just what?
At least the tiles make a great Dungeon Bowl pitch. So it's just Dungeon Bowl now. That's all. Dungeon Bowl and some D&D minis.
The tiles are pretty cool, but there's not that many of them. So I don't know. It's not the solution for Dungeon Bowl I was really sneaky hoping it would be. The quest continues.
You've got to combine them. That's probably enough.
It is probably enough, actually. I was still hopeful, but that shouldn't be hopeful. Anyway, Ben, other than Cursed City and Games Workshop's Glory Week, what are we talking about on episode 66?
We're going to be having a cheeky review of what we've seen from the Death Zone.
Absolutely.
We'll also be going through our favourite entries from the adjusted roster competition, including the winners.
Yeah.
And also the usual games, hobby, and star players.
Absolutely. So we got the winners for our adjusted roster competition, and man, there was about 100 all in all, I think. There was about 70 individual entries, and multiple people had multiple entries. So it's probably over 100, and they were brilliant, and I'm really looking forward to talking through a few with you, Ben, because we'll have the classic pick one roll off. So I hope you've got some kind of dice nearby.
I can do,
but I bet they're not the new nobility dice. But we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in news. Welcome back. It's news time. So, weirdly, in the Blood Bowl world, it's all about the Death Zone, the Spike 12, the Sevens pitch, the individual Black Orc and Nobility teams, and the dice that may or may not be in reality just a thing or not. But I think, Ben, there's nothing in the world of Kickstarter at the moment for Blood Bowl. Vortice is showing off their mixture of stadiums, but at the moment they're just showing off stadiums. and that's cool. But a bunch of 9-second videos is just like nice. I would like to buy them now, please. Hopefully we'll be able to get
the Games Workshop approach.
Yeah, here's a preview of a preview of a preview. But it's worked, and it worked really well for Cursed City. So this is Blood Bowl, absolutely, but Cursed City was a massive splash release, and this is related to Blood Bowl because it is also impacted on the Blood Bowl releases this weekend. So Cursed City did a Indomitus, really, didn't it, Ben?
Yeah, a little bit. It was really exciting, but I think we kind of saw it coming. I think Indomitus kind of conditioned everyone in being like, you've got to get this fast. It's gonna go fast. I think the main difference though was did they ever say this was going to be limited?
Not at all. Not once. Everybody just assumed it was going to be limited, which racketed the FOMO right up.
Yeah.
Like the fear
it was
of
really
missing
like
out.
community driven. I feel like the more it was discussed, the more it got like, I need this.
The more Games Workshop didn't respond to is it limited releases, the more the community was like, relax, there's going to be more. The more it just enthralled people to be like, there's not going to be more, is there? This is it. This is a one and done thing. And we're all standing around going, well, Blackstone Fortress, which was the 40k one, was out for years and had like 20 expansions. Like, this is now a game system for Games Workshop. This is now a game that's going to be supported, and you're going to be able to get it. And if you don't buy it the first month, you could buy it in a couple of months' time. No, they came out today and said it is deleted. It does not exist anymore. And all the stores got no copies based on what they were supposed to get.
It's really strange. It's like, I'm not sure. It's a very like a very GW sort of like outcome for this sort of thing, because when it comes to board games, I love board games and I love dungeon crawler board games. That's obviously why I was excited for this being a dungeon crawling board game. But while the models are A tier, the game is fine.
The game is fine.
It looks fun.
Not too bad.
I think if you did miss out on it, don't really beat yourself up about it. There are a lot of dungeon crawlers out there. Like, for the similar price, you can go and get Gloomhaven, and that'll last you 3 years of trying to play through a campaign of that, and it's a fantastic game. So like, I wouldn't say it's like an absolutely essential purchase if you really wanted a dungeon crawler. So while it sucks that it's gone, at least from latest news is it's gone. I wouldn't be too upset about it.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some absolutely brilliant posts in the Cursed City Facebook page along the lines of, relax, you were never going to actually play it anyway.
Yeah.
Which is incredibly accurate, I think. But right, is Games Workshop just the iPhone of wargaming? Is that it? Is this Apple?
It kind of feels like that. It's like, I feel, I'm not sure what it is. I wish they would just sort of come out and say, look, this is the situation, and then we're all left. You don't get all the conspiracy theories and stuff if they just be like,
maybe that's what they like.
Is the case and this is why.
Like, I don't know. Maybe Reddit is just free advertising for them.
Yeah. Honestly, that might be. That's a conspiracy in itself, and it's what we're doing. We're on a podcast talking about Games Workshop.
The thing is, for me, the reason I was so excited about it is because AOS is massive. Like, the universe is massive, and this game could have explored that in a massive way, and it would have been really cool. And that's what I was looking forward to. Yeah, the base game was a little bit lackluster, but a lot of things are until you start getting the expansion packs and the DLC and stuff, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, to be honest with you, if you picked up Blood Bowl, well, it's just 2 teams and it's fine. Like, it's really good, but it gets really good when you add the other 27 teams, right? And I think Cursed City was very similar in that regard. Anyway, that's been Carnage. That was Carnage last week, and they've just ended the product in 5 days, deleting social media posts about it, and Google search stuff is now expunged from the Games Workshop records. They cancelled their live play. Like, they've just squatted Cursed City. But the fire continues. Now, this weekend is the drop of Death Zone and all the other Blood Bowl releases this weekend, and multiple stores have reported that due to a epic software disaster in the Games Workshop warehouse, they may not be getting their pre-orders. And that's not just for Blood Bowl. This is also for the poor Adeptus Titanicus guys who've been waiting 59 years to receive the War Master Titan. And when it was finally up for pre-order, they finally got to pay for it. They're now not going to get them until at some point. Now, the stores are still confident that they're going to come in like Friday, Saturday, and they should be able to get them out for pre-orders. But stores get their gear Wednesday, Thursday, so they can post them on Friday or Thursday normally. But they shouldn't, but they do. So bad news bears for third parties. They were told they were getting low stock, and now the stock isn't even coming due to a software error. So I don't know.
It really does suck. But I mean, things happen. It's just the sort of thing where I feel like, I don't know, just tell people what's going on, Games Workshop. Just tell people, put out a post being like, this is the situation, and no, we're all going to be happier for it. Yeah, well, actually, I can't say that. No, the vast community probably isn't. But
maybe that's it. Maybe they're like, look at the government. Okay, the government built this massive hospital in London and didn't use it, which is really a very good thing. However, the opposition and the media are like, they wasted this money building this hospital that they never even needed. And I personally am of the opinion that building hospitals is useful in case you need them. The Labour government, the Labour Party seems to feel otherwise, and that's okay, because everyone's entitled to their opinion. But Games Workshop are just sitting in the middle, where like, look, if we say we undersold this and we can't replace it, we're going to get chastised for that. If we say everything's fine, we're going to get chastised for that. Best thing to do, guys, is just to deny and just ignore it. It'll all go away. Maybe they've got it right. I don't know. It's just tough.
That's very, yeah. Now, I'm just glad I'm not in that shoes.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But the good thing is, this release is salvageable from the Blood Bowl point of view. Like, if you wanted the Black Orc team or the Nobility team, you could have already got them by now. Like, they're out. Like, I've got 2 Nobility teams for some reason, and you know, that's just the models are out there. The rules are out there. If you wanted to play 7s, multiple people have built their own using the back of the standard pitch, and the rules are the Death Zone rules are out there. I mean, we've got videos out now breaking down the 7s rules, and we're going through the mercenaries, one type by another. So the rules for the Death Zone are out there, and everything else you only really need if you're going to use them in a game, and they're all heavy expansion material. Like, all the stuff in Death Zone isn't going to come up very often unless you decide to specifically play a Death Zone this game, which we'll talk about in our topic a little bit later on. But you're not missing out by not getting this Blood Bowl stuff. You're missing out on a great read, but it's not like, oh my gosh, I wanted to get this game now, and now I can't get the game, or I had a game planned, or I needed this team to build it up to play a game. No, if you needed a team, you would already have it, and if you wanted to play Blood Bowl with the Death Zone rules, you could probably do that now, or just leave them out and your game will be fine. And that's really good. So yes, it's a bit sucky, but worse things have happened. And I know I'm being Bill Bailey, and we talked about this before, but you know, not too bad, all things considered.
Yeah. Ultimately, we've still got a cool new edition of Blood Bowl that, you know, when the games have been, at least in this country, you know, haven't really had much chance to play games. It's still going to be exciting to hopefully soon be able to get some games in, and it's going to be a new edition. It's going to be really fun. So I'm still looking forward to it regardless. I don't really need an expansion for a game I haven't had a chance to play yet. So.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to play Blood Bowl, you can still play Blood Bowl. Like, it's going to be fine. And I think that's okay. So I think that is basically all the news, except to say that some people tomorrow will get Spike 12, which is really cool. All the fluff and things for Black Orcs, and it's okay. There's nothing in there you're missing because it's all in the standard rulebook, which is great. Death Zone's going to land, the 7s thing's going to land, and the dice are going to land, but obviously everything's delayed and restricted quantities up the wazoo. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be really interesting.
Dice. Did you see that thing recently with the necromantic dice having duplicate faces?
I've got mine here, and I did check them, but yeah, no, I think sadly I've only got 2 6s on each of my dice, so not enough.
Okay.
Not enough. No, I did the necro dice with like multiple 4s and multiple 5s on.
Yeah, I think I saw someone who had didn't have 1s, and it was like, I can never fail to go for it again.
Yeah, you'd still find a way. If you're going into the end zone, you'd still find a way.
Somehow roll, make up a one.
No, yeah. So news-wise, that's about it. To be honest with you, isn't it? That's all that's really going on. So we'll take a quick moment, and we'll be back with hobby. So we make sure that whenever we do the podcast, we chat about what we've been painting and what we've been playing. So Ben, painting, playing, buying, building, printing. What have you been up to, man? What's on the list?
Well, like you said, Curse City came out. Talk about it again. I've been going through some of that. I've painted up one of the heroes, Brutog, the ogre.
Oh, that ogre is an amazing miniature.
I absolutely love it. Seriously love it. I've done all of the skeletons, including the captain, and a couple of those big ogre zombie things, which I think are really awesome models.
Yeah,
they're my favorite models in the set. I think they're just really like beefy and big. It feels satisfying to plonk down on the table and be like, crush them.
They're clearly strength 4. Yeah.
Strength 4, and they're like strength 9. It's huge.
Hey, giants are strength 7. They're back. So yeah.
Yes.
No, I've also painted up the skeleton hero. I did the really lazy boy Ian method, which is using multiple rattle cans and a heavy wash of Nuln. And you know what? I thought it was a great way to get the game finished nice and early.
Honestly, it's seriously impressive seeing the speed you guys have smashed it out at that level of quality as well. It's unbelievable.
It's been good. It would have been good enough for YouTube. Would have been. Not
allowed to broadcast the game though because it doesn't exist.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
genuinely though, that was the plan. Like, I've got multiple cameras because we're building the stream setup for games and things, for like tournaments. So I've got an unnecessary amount of cameras, and I was just like set planning. I've been working on like a layout so that I could have an overhead camera, a side camera. You can see the cards, and actually we can have like a online, Friday night or whatever. We all get together online, multiple cameras, and we got like. I just was like, this is going to be a great way to play a game. Every once a month we'll do the story, progress the story, and completely deflated. Like, I haven't felt this gaming deflated in such a long time.
Oh man, don't be deflated.
I am.
Plenty of games.
I am. I was really excited. Hey, Also, however, and I was chatting with Tiff about this earlier when I was watching the carnage unfold in the Facebook group as the truth came out. I was like, oh damn. Luckily, yesterday Craig recruited more moderators for the Facebook group. So it went from a team of 4 to a team of 10 around the world, and I'm like, this is great timing. But saying to Tiff, like, on the plus side, like, now I don't have to paint the rest of the set. Like, there's a lot of work that I now don't feel like a rush to do, and that's quite good. But anyway, Ben, you've been painting up the dead game. What else have you been up to, hobby wise and game wise?
Well, I had a new Kickstarter arrive on the same week as Curse City, which is really overwhelming to have 2 quite large board games in the same week.
It sounds terrible, Ben.
Yeah, it sounds awful. No, it's called Madara. I've been waiting for it for ages. It's another dungeon crawler, but it's very, very story driven with a 100-hour campaign or something. And yeah, this has been fun. So a lot of my hobby has been printing off an insert for that and sleeving cards, which has been really satisfying.
Nice. I do love the extra gear, like the organization and stuff of it. Madara looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of. I've been following it pretty closely. It's got, in my opinion, really cool art. It's very like modern fantasy. That's all set in like a modern. It's like a modern take on sci-fi fantasy. It's really quite unique. I like it a lot. Looking forward to getting
my question is, how big are the squares?
That is a good question. They're quite small. I think they're just over like. They're probably about 30 mil.
Well, we can maybe make that work. Maybe make that work for Blood Bowl.
Yeah.
So Madara's cool. So how many miniatures? Like, is it proper Kickstarter with like 70 miniatures?
Eventually, this is number 1 of 3 waves that they're doing. So Act 1 alone has like 100 hours, and it's like a rule book about like the thickness of a brick. It weighs a ton. But the miniatures, there's like 50 or so. It's similar amount to Curse City, to be fair. Yeah, not the same quality miniatures.
Yeah,
They're
just
kind of
not
a
made by
PVC board
Apple.
game.
That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, the game looks really, really cool. I like that they're doing it on waves. That is clever, actually. I think having that keep the game alive, because with a lot of Kickstarters, it comes in one massive amount and you never get to it until you eventually sell it on or give it to a friend 4 years later. So having because it'd be really cool if like in 3 months' time the first expansion comes in, like, and it's like a subscription.
Yeah, although I think it's more 3 years.
All right, that's less good. That's less good. Although it is quite fun years down the line when a Kickstarter turns up and you're like, oh, I completely forgot about this.
Oh yeah, I backed all 3 acts, so like I don't have to pay a penny more. I'm just gonna have like in a couple of years' time, another one's gonna arrive, and I was like, this is free. Past them pay for this.
Yeah, no, I completely understand that. Punga, my Punga Kickstarter should have shipped. Because hang on, what day is it? Thursday. Should get a shipping notification today or tomorrow, which is very cool. So got some star players coming there. I actually ordered some extras for prizes for the prize pool as well. We've got some stuff coming up where we've got prizes to give out, some tournaments and things like that, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome.
That. And no update since Friday. Damn. But yeah, and the Vortice guys should be landing too. Norba, I think, are getting their gear ready. I think they've updated their facilities to just print in house because they've had so many shipping delays and everything, because I think it was being done in like China, when obviously people keep parking boats in stupid places and unleashing plagues, which is just really bad. So nothing big on the Kickstarter front. Miniatures wise, I went hell for leather with Cursed City. Also made a couple of other speculative purchases that were completely unnecessary. So picked up the picked up the Armada starter set because it was half price and it's still sitting sealed in the lounge next to a massive box of Bonehead merch, which is quite cool. And then because I knew I was going to Entoyment this week, I also ordered a random box of Dystopian warships. I went for it in the end because I was like, this is going to be cool. And I was depressed about Cursed City being dead. I was like, oh, I can't play this complete game anymore. I better go and get a new one. That's
good excuse. I love it.
And then randomly, so the Slan Mage Priest was spoiled on the Warhammer community.
Oh yeah, Croak. Yeah. Croak. The Mage Priest is old as time, one of the oldest, most powerful wizards ever to exist, and it remembers the creation of the universe, and he's called Croak because he's a frog.
Yeah.
One of my favourite bits of Warhammer.
Yeah, but when the lizards landed, they were all just had joke names. Like at least Blood Bowl kind of owns up to it. Because Lord Croak was the only one who was like remained in the Warhammer world. They can't get away from it. They can't deny that one's existence. They'll try, but they can't. Yeah. And because that landed, I was like, lizard men do look really cool, like the Seraphon or whatever they're called in AOS. So I ordered the Underworlds team. The little lizard mixed. I was like, that could be quite fun to paint up. We could have a look at this.
They are really nice. That's one of my favourite ones.
Yeah. So as we can't get Cursed City, really excited about. There's always Underworlds and Armada and Dystopian Wars and Warmaster. There's plenty of other games, but
could be a running theme throughout the episode. I think we're on about 5. Like, how many times can we be depressed about Cursed City?
It's been a bad day. Okay. Had that to compete with this week, and also the wedding's gone to hell as well. Like, because of the restrictions on the venue, which I didn't even consider, which is stupid, and I felt very angry about this. We phoned up to confirm everything and make sure everything was all right, and then just 15 people is illegal, maximum, but it's actually 9 in the venue, and 2 of those are the registrars. So absolute garbage. So we've postponed it. We postponed it to October, so hopefully things will be cool by then. But then again, we said this last year. We said this literally a year ago. Like, next May will be fine. Like, everything will be times. The war will be over by Christmas. And although we're nearly there, we're not quite there. So we've postponed the wedding for 6 months, which is a pain. And now it's all the whole kind of like, this person can change the date, this one can't change the date. So honestly, like, with that and then Cursed City, it's just been a terrible week.
Well,
the
we
cursed
did
game.
have game night on Tuesday. Did that improve or dishearten your week? I know which one it did for me.
Fumble hates me, Ben. I have never witnessed such brutality as I have from Fumble in the last 6 weeks. I don't understand. It's like it doesn't want me to play the game. It's like, right, okay, let's position this guy, I'll go for it. I've got a reroll, no problems, and he's dead. And then, okay, this one die block, pow, he's dead as well. I've played 2 games this week. I played a game against Rich with his Simeon. Now, if you want to know more about the Simeon team, watch the Special Teams Sunday coming out tomorrow, where I review and talk through the Simeon team. Interesting team. Definitely needs to be reskinned as Tzeentch. That's my hot take on it.
Oh, that's a really good shout. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that.
Because monkeys are stupid.
Yeah.
It's a cool team, but monkeys it doesn't make a lot of sense. Extra arms on a bunch of dudes, that is just so Tzeentch. Reskin it as Tzeentch, get it in there. It's a cool team. I lost that game as well. 2-1. Brutal. Absolutely brutal. I made a couple of really silly misplays as well. I did the classic Fumble misclick. I ended up blitzing with the wrong guy, and I did something else, and I was like, oh, well, now I've got to throw it. So that went bad. I ended up losing 2-1 with Nobility. Really weird running Nobility against a team that is so unofficial it doesn't even feature in the secret teams of Fumble. But that basically sums up our Fumble adventures at the moment. How was your game?
No, pretty good. I lost 2-0 and had 3 players go.
My God. Honestly, I feel like, right, and hear me out here, this is another conspiracy theory. Krista, who is the guy who is like the overlord of Fumble, he's going through a lot right now trying to upgrade it to Blood Bowl 2020. In the meantime, Games Workshop keeps releasing stuff. Dude, the mercenaries in this book will kill him if he tries to even get his mind around how to implement into Fumble. He will die. I don't know how he's not dead already, but he will. Right, but this is my theory. He's transitioning into a kind of Age of Sigmar demigod, and like his psyche is so bitter that it's forcing the RNG to just cause hate throughout Fumble. And all the badness is happening. This guy falls over. He explodes and kills all of your family with you. And it's like, I think it's just Krista, who is by all accounts a wonderful person and a heck of a mind. I think he's just every sci-fi has this. The overworked engineer creates a hologram to help him get his work done. The hologram gets bitter and everybody dies. So, yeah. Although yours were just unapologetically killed by shark men.
Yeah, it was brutal. Thankfully, I did only have one guy die out of all of it, and that was the only casualty I had, and it was a cat. So yeah, my were team against the shark team, it was a frenzy claw. My frenzy claw guy's a strength 3. He has 4 strength 5 ones,
and 2 of them have got mighty blow now as well, and it's old rules, so they stack. But you're stood there with your strength 2 guys with the armor 7, and you're like, yeah, I'll eat your claw because it means nothing.
They survived better than I thought they would, though. Thankfully, pretty much my werewolves and my bear were left unscathed. There was a time in the end when my bear I was really low on players, and I was worried that now I've run out of cats, he's going to start going for the really expensive stuff. Which he did, but thankfully, like, the armor held up. The bear got KO'd, which I breathed a sigh of relief because I'd already lost.
Like the best
but
result.
Like to see him get KO'd was just like, oh, because I was worried he was going to foul him or like just mighty blow was going to do its thing. Yeah, it was kind of a relief.
It's a really cool team. Like the shark team is a really interesting team. So this is from the Sea Secret League, and it is the Sons of Stromfels, which is like the sea god, and basically it's got 4 were sharks essentially, who are strength 5 claws and just horrific with bloodlust as well. I think they got bloodlust.
They've got bloodlust, yeah, which did actually come in a couple of times, but bloodlust isn't awful.
In the new edition, if they transfer over and they end up with animal savagery, that's like having claw is bad, because if they punch their own dude, claw comes into effect.
Oh yeah, word, wouldn't it?
So chomp and then mighty blow on the follow up. So it's going to be interesting to see if they do even port, and that's assuming that Krista makes it.
Yes.
Poor guy.
Yeah. It was good. It was still a fun game. It was still bloody. I got I've managed to buy another wolf after it, so now I'm 4 werewolves and my like 3 players leveled up, which is all good. So yeah.
So what's your record now? Because we're 3 games in.
Yeah, 2 losses and 1 win.
Who did you? Who else have you played?
I've played Nurgle, which I lost to, and I played the Ironbreaker team, which I won.
I think I've got the Ironbreaker team this week, actually. I drew against Nurgle, which is an impressive feat because that's Simon, and he is just incredibly good. And this is Nurgle from 2016 as well, before they just got absolutely hated on. I know we all talked about vampires being the biggest loser from 2020, but I think it might be they might be the sneaky losers of 2020 transition. Nurgle, the tier 2 team that would lose against every other tier 3 team. And I won a game, but I can't remember who I won against.
You won against Squigs.
Oh yeah, that was great fun. Won the one against Squig. Squig team was wicked. Richard's just a maniac. So yeah, and then lost 2-1 to the Simeon. So I think I've got Ironbreakers next. Who's your next?
Yeah, I've got the Slayers. I've got Ian's.
Hannam.
So dwarf team each. We got it'll be the dwarf week.
Wicked. That kind of is the theme today, isn't it?
Yeah,
all dwarves all the time. Wicked. I also got my college fumble game in, which, although I've recorded, I actually haven't put up on. Anyway, I need to get that out tomorrow. That is just madness, man. This is the college fumble. I am the Yuan Jin head coach, the Yuan Jin Metal Oxes, and it was bad. It was really, really, really bad.
Oh no!
My Strength 5 Gorilla went out on turn 1 with a KO. Didn't come back the entire game. 4 other players got casualtied within the first 3 turns. It was just horrific, and everyone's armor 9 as well. It was just horrible. And yeah, made a couple of poor plays because I got tilted, I think, and lost 2-0. So it's been a bad season for me on Fumble. I went 4-0 with the Slan, and I've won 1 game since. That's all right.
Oh well.
Just need to. I
bring back tabletop and you win the league again. It's fine.
Dude, I can't wait for tabletop. I really miss it. Although league management is going to be fun with the mercenaries.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I saw your spreadsheets for that.
Oh, did you ever play 40k in 3rd or 4th edition where they had the build your own tank rules and the build your own monster rules in White Dwarf?
I don't think I was alive in 3rd edition, Ben.
Yes, you were. Don't be dramatic.
No, I
you might not have been, actually, to be fair. I think that was late 90s, maybe 98, 99, 3rd edition came out.
Just about. I would have been an infant. That's fine.
Yeah. Warhammer 40k 3rd edition. Well, it was wicked, but it was really 1998, October 98. Ooh, golly. Man, those tactical Marines aged brilliantly, you know?
They can't have been the same ones, right? Until...
I think so. Those original multi-part tactical Marines were amazing.
They're really the same sculpts they have, even now.
I think they might have tweaked a couple of bits, but they look the same. And I'm very sure that the Dark Elf ones are the same. But they haven't aged well. But the Marines look pretty solid. Oh, but that was not a bad starter set. They had all the funky trees in it as well.
I think the Scouts are. I think the Tacticals have had a revamp.
Bit of a glow up. Oh, they got made redundant by Primaris, didn't they? So yeah, they had a ton of stuff. So the mercenary stuff is just there's 5 different types of player. There's loads of different traits you can choose, and then you can get their stats around. And it's just wicked, but a nightmare for commissioners. And I do not imagine them to be tournament legal. But we will talk about that in a minute, because I want your opinion on that one. Because So I'm like, what is this? This is terrifying. But really fun at the same time. It's just I don't know what to feel. I don't know how to feel. All I know is that I'm sad about Castity.
Oh, I'll tally that.
I haven't figured out how to get little tickers on OBS. I think I need to figure that out because that could be quite entertaining. Cool. So we talked about Fumble. We talked about Hobby. We got some painting in. We've got the new releases landing. I think that's everything for me from Hobby in the last couple of weeks. You, Ben?
Yeah, I think that's it. It feels again another very rapid 2 weeks.
It has been, isn't it?
Not sure where it's all going. Yeah.
Is that because of bank holidays? Do you think?
Maybe. Yeah, that kind of wiped out our whole weekend. Yeah, I don't know.
All
Everything's
that
just
time off.
Yeah, I'm hoping this little period though, where we've got these. I mean, the last 2 weeks have felt like 4 days, so I'm hoping do that again. We'll soon be on tabletop mode. Very much looking forward to it. It's gonna be great.
There's the potential for the league to be get back on the 4th of May. Ian said might be possible. That's
it's 2 weeks away.
That is, yeah, and which means we've got potential to start filming not long after that as well, Ben. So we need to come up with a plan because that's going to be really exciting. People want 11s first. I am just gagging to play 7s. It's really difficult. So I'm going to need you to help coach me to make the right decision here, because it was the Brexit margin for 11s versus 7s. Oh, and it's so tough.
If you need my input, it will be the wrong one.
Yeah.
So
we said we'd do 11s, so we'll do 11s. That's what people want. Easier to paint 7s teams. Right. Competition time, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right, we'll be right back with the finalists and winners of the adjusted roster competition. And we're back. And the first big topic we're going to talk about today is our adjusted roster competition. So last few weeks we had a little competition up, which was take a Blood Bowl roster. Add a positional, add a couple of positionals, change some positionals. Really just take the teams that are in Blood Bowl right now and tweak about with them and come up with something different. And the inspiration for that was really the amount of dwarf teams, which does definitely show in the entries we had. So we said, adjust the rosters, let us know, and then we will pick our favourites like we always do and roll off, and we'll have a winner, and the winner will get a printed team from Punga. So they've just released the Stern Boys, the pirate-themed dwarf team, and they are very cool, and I'm very happy with that. I've had to size them up a bit to 120 scale, but they look really good. Like, I am a huge fan of them, and I didn't think I would be.
That's so nice.
But
yeah, no, they are really nice.
Ben and I were talking. The Games Workshop dwarf team is fantastic. The Fanath dwarf team is fantastic. The new Grebo one is incredible, and the blooming Punga one is brilliant as well. So you've got 4 different dwarf teams, and the roster is a little bit samey, shall we say? So what can we do to change it up?
Fun.
Yeah, and we talked about it with Skaven as well. Like, actually, there's so much theme you could do with a few little tweaks. And man, we had entries, at least 100 different suggestions and ideas, which was amazing. So I guess 2 things to go through. There was also going to be a Patreon winner. So we're going to choose that's basically, we've got top 2 Patreon entries and a top 6, I think, non-Patreon entries, and basically one of each will win a printed team, so I'll get in contact with that one. And just want to say hello to some of our new patrons. We do have a Patreon, and on that we get content early, and we ask you to make decisions for us because it's really helpful, so appreciate that. New Patrons for this week, we got John. I'm sure you've got a second name, John, so all the Johns out there, hello. Michael Bradley, Emma Logan, Mark Nielsen, and Davin Perry. So welcome to the party. Thank you very much for your support. Thank you to everybody who supports us, whether you just watch the staff, get involved, whatever you do to help us out making content and just having a good time with Blood Bowl. We appreciate it. So I think we've prefaced that. The other thing is that, like we said, if you submitted an entry and one of these top ones ends up being really similar to yours, we apologise, but there was about 11 Skaven ones, 400 dwarf ones, and it was really tight. So if you feel slightly jilted, we apologise. It's just we had to pick some of our favourites, and I don't know, there's about 17 favourites for me, but it was really Ben and I spent about 45 minutes at the beginning of the show whittling down just to try and find a way to have a top 3 each. So if you missed out, we're really sorry, but there were some awesome designs in there, and we got some honorary mentions as well, which I think we're definitely going to have to go to. Right, Ben, shall we start? Should we go through our top 6, then do honorable mentions?
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan.
All right, groovy.
You want to kick off?
Let's go. So which one was mine? Mine was Maxime. And it was... I like this one. I like all of them, to be fair. So this is... I'm really sorry. I've proven myself to be bad with names repeatedly. In fact, I did an interview once, and Agnieszka I had to interview an Agnieszka, and I had no idea how to say the name, so I ended up YouTubing it right before the interview. I was like, good morning, Agnieszka, how are you? And they were like, oh, you said my name right. And I was like, yes, I YouTubed it because it's... I should have YouTubed.
Don't admit that.
Yeah, well, it's important to be open and honest.
Cultured.
Yeah, no, I definitely know how to say this. So, Maxime, hi Ben, and Ben, here's my entry to your Adjusted Rosters competition. I tried to think outside the blocks, and here's the roster I've brewed up. Nice. Yeah, I liked it. The Joseph Bugman Rangers Dwarven team. Standard Dwarven team, but thematically adjusted like so. The blockers are Old World blockers, 75k, armbar, brawler, no tackle, no block, but without the loner animosity, of course, because that's garbage. Completely agree. The blitzers lose block and gain wrestle. The death roller becomes the beer roller and costs 20k less and is driven by Joseph Bugman himself. The Fanath model would be a great one for this one. So I think, good, yeah. I feel like Maxime's just keyed into a load of really like a load of love here. And your team always gets a free keg of Bloodweiser. All players get +1 to recover from KO, making your dwarves unnecessarily more resilient. So, great little changes. Got a little breakdown of the roster here. So you get the dwarf roster as follows. So 0 to 12 blockers, 75k, 4/3, 4+, 5+, 10+. Thick Skull, Armbar, Brawler. Runners stay the same. Blitzers lose block, gain wrestle. 2 Slayers still. And Joseph Bugman, 150k with the free Bloodweiser keg. So... and a really good little breakdown here as well. Changing the blockers according to the OWO team means it stays kind of balanced even though they're a bit weaker and more expensive. This change allows to lower the price of the death roller and make it more affordable, therefore seeing it more on the pitch, which is mandatory for this team since it's driven by Joseph Bugman itself. Wrestle instead of block for the blitzers make them look more like tavern fighters, which is thematic. And the free keg is a 50k boost, but again, the blockers are slightly worse and dwarves don't need the keg very often anyways. This way, I feel like it stays approximately the same power ranking as standard dwarves. I thought about tweaking the death roller, more adding dirty player to the runners, but then I'd need more nega traits elsewhere. I believe there are hundreds of team possibilities, but I don't know. This one struck me first. Thanks for letting us take part in the rules brewing with you. Very much enjoyed it. Take care. Max. Bioengineer. Oh, nice. All right. Well, you've engineered a great team here. I love the idea of Joseph Bugman on a beer roller bringing a free keg. I love reducing the cost, and I love nerfing the blockers a little bit. I actually think Wrestle on the Blitzer is quite clever as well. It's just different.
Yeah, and I agree. It gives them a bit more identity into like you say, it's just different. It's like the blitzers do something other than the rest of the team rather than just doing sort of what the rest of the team does a bit faster
version. Yeah. No, I like that one. I thought that was really good. So thanks, Max. You're one of my top 3 here. Right, who is first up for you, Ben?
For me, I have gone for another dwarf pick.
I like it.
Again, we had a lot of them. And yes, I think the thing with the dwarfs is kind of I think why we saw a lot of them, why we liked them, was because dwarfs definitely have a roster that we could see needed adjusting.
Could be a bit more fun.
Exactly, yeah. Tom's taken a slightly similar approach to Maxime. They've gone for lineman 65k, movement 4, strength 3, edge 4+, passing 5+, armor 10, brawler thick skull. So they've done the same thing where they've changed changed block to be brawler. They've blitzers are still block thick skull. The crosshairs are the same. The death roller has lost secret weapon, so it's now a permanent member of the team. Movement 4, strength 5, 130k as well, so it's a lot cheaper. Movement 4, strength 5, edge 5+, no passing, and armor 11+, with horns, dirty player +1, juggernaut, loner 4+, mighty blow +1, and no hands. So the notes they've put for... Yeah, I think it's really... Yeah, we'll go on the notes. They've... But I think many coaches have realised that the dwarf roster, as it is in the Blood Bowl 2020 rulebook, is really strong, and they haven't been nerfed by changes to passing. And although they won't be as deadly at higher TV, thanks to piling on being axed, they're still pretty strong. They're also incredibly dull to play or to play against. I wanted to make them significantly less strong out of the box and to make a death roller a lot less suboptimal so that more people run one. I hope this will make them more fun for both coaches. So, yeah, exactly. You couldn't say it better. The issue that we had with the Death Roller is you pay a huge premium and it just disappears. It doesn't really do much.
It's 170k. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
you have to remove 3 players for it to feel really valuable, and that's just rolling hot, like really hot.
Yeah, exactly. This big guy is very good. that's the thing with this. We have someone who is a strength 5 movement 4, so basically a troll, with armor 11 plus, with horns, juggernaut, mighty blow,
Dirty player. Yeah,
there's no Negatrain.
potentially a little overcosted on the Death Roller, but I mean, I'd play that. Like, that would be, I want to build this team around the Death Roller every time.
100%. Yeah.
And that's such a cool miniature that I think that's probably fine, especially when the rest of the roster, like this, has definitely been taken down a notch. You know, going from block tackle, it's a brawler, is a big step down, and it just makes it feel a bit more fair. So I like this. No, the armor's the same, isn't it? Yeah, the armor's the same. No,
Something else they did on this as well. Sorry, they gave, or they removed strength as a primary skill from the lineman, so you're less likely to spam guard.
yeah, I think that's fair as well.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good.
No,
It's like a simple change, really simple change, but I thought it was just really clean and really neat, and still gives the dwarves the identity they like.
I agree. I like that one a lot. Which one did I have next? Okay, this one is this one's interesting. So we had a ton of Monster Mash kind of entries, and they were all really good. There was one great one that had a Bride of Frankenstein, which was literally like used the rules for a witch elf, but they got regeneration. Like, really, really, really cool. But I think, Ben, you pointed out that a lot of those felt like mixed rosters, like mixed teams, where it was like one mummy, one ghoul, one necro. Like, it was really cool and would be great fun to play. But the one I've gone with, the one I've chosen, is actually, I've chosen it because it's simplistic. Because what Curtis has done here, Curtis Homan, he's just, right, I'm just going to read it out. This is a simple one. Rather than vampires being their own faction, add them to both the undead and necro rosters with a max of 4. Under the necro roster, the werewolf gains animosity vampire and the vampire gains animosity werewolf. Makes sense. The addition of the vamp to these teams gives them the quarterback leader that they seem to miss, and gives those teams some access to passing without dipping into star players, albeit a bloodthirsty QB, which, let's be honest, adds to the theme. Team building wise, the coaches can still build the tried and true smash and bash, or they can dip into vampires and have pass and bash. I would handle the thrall models by altering the Masters of Death rule. If the vampire is on your team, instead of converting the model to zombie, you gain a thrall instead. For a league-based play, a scrappy undead necro team begins to recruit fallen opponents, and the team starts to slowly evolve into more of a mobile team of thralls. Happy Blood Bowl, thanks for the content. I know it's not groundbreaking, but it is clever, and now where vampires have animal savagery, not bloodthirst, they can go into any team, and it makes sense. Like, they get haughty and they get angry because their minions are just rubbish. Like, we've seen, I don't know, countless movies, just Megatron, loses his stuff all the time and hits Starscream. But you know what? I can see a vampire doing that to a ghoul who's standing by him, or a zombie who's just like frustrated at the idiocy and just smacks them around. Actually, I think it's really cool. I think it's a cool way to add more positionals to teams that already have a load of positionals. And it would be really nice to be able to have a werewolf and a golem and a vampire on a necro team. I don't know. It's probably unnecessary, but it's a very clever way, I think, of taking the skill set of the vampire and making the team feel really interesting. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Necro are great, but adding vampire, even one vampire, would give it a really improved sense of, identity, I guess.
Yeah, it would, and it kind of fixes the vampire roster in that regard as well, where you just don't have to have it.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing what Games Workshop actually do with the vampire roster.
Yeah, me too.
I really am. Anyway, that was my one of my top 3 from Curtis. What have you got now, Ben?
The next one comes from Andy Tucker. And this is an adjustment to the goblin roster. Now, while I initially wouldn't have thought goblins need much changing, the goblins feel pretty good as they are. I quite like them. What really interested me in this was the adjustment he's done to secret weapons. So what Andy's done here is they've made basically another thing you buy at Team Creation, which is special goblin sports equipment, spelt not as you'd think.
Definitely spelled like a goblin.
Spelled like goblins would.
Yeah.
But with that, you've got a 0-1 chainsaw, 0-1 bomb launcher, and 0-1 special mushroom brew, costing 50, 50, and 80k respectively. And essentially what you do here is you choose a goblin lineman on a drive, once per drive. And for that drive only, the player gains the following skills. Like, for instance, for chainsaw, they would gain chainsaw, no hands, and secret weapon. Also, for that drive only, they would lose right stuff, so you can't just lob them around with a chainsaw. As fun and goblin-y as that would be, though. Yeah. And because they have secret weapon, they would still be sent off. But this is a cool way to just give a little tweak to fix something that people struggle with these goblin secret weapons, and that's leveling them up. So they've said the big change that I've completely removed the Looney, Bomber, and Fanatic from the roster and replaced them with special goblin sports equipment. These are 3 unique team assets that can be purchased as a permanent part of the team, and each one allows you to give a single goblin lineman an upgrade for each drive. That upgrade comes at the cost of secret weapon, though, so the player in question is definitely getting sent off at the end of the drive. The actual items, the physical weapons, can simply be handed to another goblin who can bring along for the next drive. What does it mean? I think it changes the dynamic of the goblin team in a big way. Firstly, it brings more fun. You can have more crazy Celtic pieces on the pitch for longer, agree. Secondly, if your chainsaw backfires, your fanatic falls over on the first turn, then it's not so disappointing, because at least you can try again next drive.
Yep.
Thirdly, you can field all your secret weapons at once without worrying about losing them all after a quick TD. Fourthly, if you score on turn 8 and you're taking some casualties, you're not forced into deploying your secret weapons for that single remaining turn just to get them sent off.
Because you get to arm the goblin instead, and you don't have to do it.
Exactly. It's a choice being like, you know what, this is the turn. You're going to bring the pain. And also, you can have a lot more creativity in how you level these. Like, these goblins can now score. They can get their touchdowns. Probably not the casualties, but when they level up, now you can be like, right, this is the guy I'm going to be arming with a chainsaw this time, and he can actually score because he's a normal player for most of the time, and then you give him the skills that help him out with that. You can give him Hail Mary pass and then give him a bomb launcher. And I think it's really cool. It's a really nice way to fix a problem that goblins have. And, while goblins, I think, are still in a pretty good place as they are, this is a really creative way to to adjust a roster that's still essentially the same goblin roster.
I think it's brilliant. I think this is genius. I really do. Equipment is a design space that I'm not sure has been explored all that much on Blood, but I think it might have done in the olden days. But I think we always discussed it as being a skill upgrade for a player. Like, I'm going to upgrade this player forever into a chainsaw man. And actually, just being able to give a chainsaw to a dude is a really clever way of doing it.
Yeah.
I do have a question. The special brew doesn't make sense. Because surely the brew would be drunk. Anyway, that doesn't matter.
And that's the one that gives them ball and chain.
I think literally just magical ball and chain or something, and you're there. I think this is really clever.
I agree. Yeah, I saw this and thought that is really unexpected.
That is really clever. Yeah. I think I overlooked that one a little bit. Are you right?
Yeah, I just dropped my phone.
Okay. I was reading the email and I just heard it. And I was like, oh no, he's fallen over. Or like the time the green screen just dropped back at the back of you, and everything popped into reality. That is brilliant. That one, really great pick there. Really good work. Okie dokie. Now I am going to mess up this fellow's name, and I feel really worse about this because actually on one of the comments in YouTube did tell me how to say the name right. So I'm just going to stick with Trolls. So Trolls. Hey Ben, Benjamins, Bennies. Nice. Here's my team for the adjusted roster competition attached as a PDF. Here we go. Let's bring it up. This is New High Elves. It's got quite a big amount of All right. If you've been around Blood Bowl for a while, you might have gotten used to the idea that High Elves and Elven Union are weirdly similar. And if you've been around for a really long time, you might know the historical reason. Pro Elves were retrofitted some years after the release of 3rd edition to honour Jarvis Johnson's original 2nd edition version of cyber fantasy, or simply because elves with mohawks and hockey masks are more fun than dragon warriors. A reasonable sentence there. But if you're new to Blood Bowl, it might seem a little confusing. Why would you need to buy new models if you already have a perfectly good Elven Union team with the same positionals and only very little difference in playstyle? So I think we'll all agree Trolls is bang on the money so far. For High Elves to survive and sell, I think they need to be their own thing. With Wood, Pro and Dark Elves, we ordered a very nice balance of light, medium and heavy options. Where do High Elves fit? I suggest these even heavier elves maintain the best throwers in the game, got catches to rival pro elves, but only 2, and a kind of elven blockers to reference the high elf rank and file tactics of old Warhammer. They will be the overall slowest elves by quite a bit, and have the best armour, the strongest front line, and a control game unknown to their brethren. Posh elves are notoriously expensive. Their 2 catches would attract more fouls than a stat increased war dancer, and 4 110k elves with 10 plus armor may be controversial, but they keep the classic virtues to please hardcore high elf coaches and might just be different enough to escape the Teams of Legends cemetery. Right, which I think is right. So the roster for high elves: 0 to 12 linemen, 6'3", 2+, 4+, 9+, which is exactly the same as it is now, 70k. 0 to 2 throwers, 6'3", 2+, 2+, 9+, pass, cloudburster, save pass, 100k. Pretty sure that's the same as high elves now. 0 to 2 catchers instead of 0 to 4 catchers, 8'3", 2+, 4+, 8+, catch, fend. So they got fend for free, which is okay. They're still doing all the other stuff. They're still normal catchers. You only got 2 of them now, so your ground game is slower. This is the clever bit. 0 to 4 high guard. So Warhammer players of old, this could be your Phoenix Guard. This could be the White Lions of Crace. This could literally just be Veteran, the Spearman, or Loathen Sea Guard kind of style. 6'3", 2+, 5+, 10+. So really heavily armoured. With block, stand firm, and defensive. And you can take 4 of them. So Edge 2+, block, stand firm, and defensive, which I think turns off guard in your opponent's turn. I always get that one wrong because I've yet to play against anybody who has it. And you know what? I think we've seen this with the design of with the new teams, having grab, having fend, having stand firm. They're skills you don't often really see until way later, right? So actually having something like stand firm and defensive would be a really cool way to get that skill into the game.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. It's like defensive is definitely one I can never really see myself picking. There's usually always a better pick. It'll come a lot, I think, with random skills. But
yeah, during your opponent's turn, opposition players don't get to use guard. So yeah, simple. Okay. I really like this. I love the breakdown. I love the background, and I love that it is a different elf roster. It's slightly slower. The armor on the high elf might be it's only armor 9+, but block, stand, it adds a bit of brawl to elves, and that doesn't exist. Like dark elves, yeah, fair enough, they've got brawl, but they're armor 9+, they've got that agility, but they do die, right? These guys just stand there and fight, and they stand firm. I really like it. I think they are going to be worse overall, but it's different, and it makes them feel like a different team.
Yeah, I think the main issue with this team is the price. I think with 70k linemen, it's an expensive roster to build. But the option of 4 blitzers is a huge, big change as well to high elves.
Massive.
I think they could really use that, especially with these extra skills.
Yeah, really expensive team, but just something really different, and I like it. I really like it. I thought it was clever.
Love it.
Thought it was clever. So that was my third top 3. That leaves us with your one.
Yes, for me, I have gone with Lars Brandom and his Skaven rosters. So we had a few entries like this where the users listeners. So it's me being a software developer.
Yeah, I was going to say you're back at work now, Ben.
Yeah, the listeners submitted Skaven clans. It was kind of a recurring theme. This one was my favorite. I think So we had a roster, last submitted roster for Clan Pestilence, Clan Mulder, Clan Eshin, Clan Scryer. And yeah, they were all really cool, unique, minor, but substantial changes to a Skaven roster. Pestilence, for example, they removed Gutter Runners and added in 2 Plague Sensor Bearers, which are ball and chain secret weapons. Again, a small change, but a really big one to a Skaven roster. It really turns them into like quite a defensive threat.
Yeah, the team's still fast-ish, still can take a Rat Ogre, but now has 2 secret weapon ball and chains that you can take. It changes the dynamic of the team. It takes that cheeky Skaven dash.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Mulder basically gives you a second Rat Ogre, so very on theme.
Mm-hmm. At the cost of the gutters, which again,
at the cost of the gutters,
makes sense.
Yep. We have Eshin.
I like this one.
Which, yes, this is cool. So you lose the blitzers, you get 2 more gutter runners and 2 assassins, or up to 2 assassins. Assassins being 9/3, 3+, 4+, 8+, shadowing stab. Is that the same as the Dark Elf ones? Not movement 9 though.
Worse agility, but faster. Interesting. Yes. I like that they don't have Edge 2+. I think that's just they're there to follow stuff around. Movement 9 is massive.
Movement 9 shadowing, that's
like this team is awesome.
Yeah, extremely Eshin. Yeah, with 6 gutter runners as well.
And still got the throwers. I think the throwers should be gone here. I think the throwers should be gone. But
I agree. Yeah,
I like the positionals.
I agree. Enjoy losing. Clan Scryer. For that one, you also lose the gutters. You go up to 4 blitzers.
I like this already.
Yep, and you get a warp grinder and 0 to 2 Globadiers. So the warp grinder is a movement 7 chainsaw secret weapon, and the Globadier is it's again line rat stats bombardier secret weapon. Really cool because Scryer being all about the gadgets and gizmos. It's just really on theme. Really cool stuff.
Now we had a load of good Skaven ones, and like we said at the beginning, it's really tough to pick. The work Lars has done on this one is really good balancing, really good reasoning. I really love these ones.
Yeah, this is really cool. He's added some comments. Pretty much what we were saying. I think it's just basically tweaking Skaven to be either a really fast bash team or really super dash team. At the sacrifice of you don't have your blitzers there to be a linchpin. It's really really nice. Thank you, Lars.
That's really 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 good. Okay, Ben. How should we do this? Should we pick one and then roll or do we just, because we got 6, just roll a d6?
I could roll a d6.
If you've got a d6, go for it. So it's going to be 1 Joseph Bugman, 2 Vampires to Necro from Curtis, 3 New High Elves from Trolls, 4 Dwarves from Tom Ashworth, 5 Goblins from Andy, and 6 Skaven from Lars. Make it so.
I'm rolling. It is a 6.
There you go, Lars and the Skaven win. So I will drop a message to Lars and say that thank you for designing Skaven. Have a dwarf team. So Lars gets a dwarf team. Lars gets dwarves. I need to know if you want them 100% scale or 120% scale. I recommend 120%. Okay, because they just fit otherwise, but they're very tiny otherwise, really almost 20 mil scale. They look smaller than Lord of the Rings. Anyway, we're not quite done, because we also said that we would do a Patreon winner as well, and we've got 2 Patreon teams that we could not pick between, and we're going to read through them, and then I'm going to get Ben to roll the dice again. So we've got 2, and they're 2 dwarves. One's from Sam Garner, which is Sam Frenzy Garner, and we've also got Cooper Stokes, who are dwarves. So let's start with Mr. Sam, who has done a great job. Now both of these are dripping in Warhammer fantasy lore, and I love it. So, old Sammy G, Underway dwarf rosters. So, patrolling the Underway, these dwarves are far more familiar with fighting their subterranean foes than the standard dwarf teams, and these skills translate well onto the pitch. So, the Underway is subway between dwarf holds in the Warhammer world. Some of it's wrecked, some of it's not. It's just like a big underground highway. Awesome, and I would love to set tournaments there. I think it's great. So, Underway Dwarves. The positional of linemen is the Ironbreaker. 70k, 4, 3, 5, 6, 11. Stand firm, thick skull. So they lose block and tackle. Annoyingly, because of the way this is formatted. Right, let's zoom out. So Ironbreakers are the stalwart line of defence in the underway, clad head to toe in Gromrul armour, never giving an inch in the face of huge numbers. On the pitch, they similarly refuse to give ground, and even if the opponents can knock them down, they'll likely never get them off the pitch. Tick, tick, tick. Then we've got 2 Rangers, 0 to 2 Rangers, 85k, 6, 3, 3, 5, 9, sure feet, shadowing, thick skull. Rangers operate on the fringes of dwarf forces, scouting and sabotaging their foes. On the pitch, they're by the fastest and most fragile dwarves, with the ability to go the extra yard in possession and harass the opposition in defence. Clever, using shadowing and sure feet to make a player feel faster and more agile. Like shadowing on movement 6 isn't going to be great, but because they're still armor 9 and strength 3, they're still going to be able to be punched. So tagging someone with a ranger, pretty good. And they've got general agility. So in a league, they will become your blodgers, which I think is exciting.
Really cool.
Miners. Miners are the most common dwarves found in the underway. However, they're far less welcome on the pitch. With their penchant for flinging blasting charges into the enemy ranks, they tend to find themselves red-carded before the second half, and no sane dwarf thane will dare roster more than one of these pyromaniacs. So the underway dwarf miner, 0 to 1, 75k, 5, 3, 4 plus 3 plus 9 plus 3 plus passing. Nice. Bombardier, secret weapon, thick skull. So they're your bombardier. Hammerers are the elite forces of the dwarves, often being personal bodyguards to royalty. In the tunnels, they're easily spotted swinging their hammers to and fro. Sadly, hammers are banned on the pitch. However, the rules are far more fuzzy on the subject of knuckle dusters, and these brave heroes make do where they can. So, 0 to 2, hammerers, 95,000, 5, 3, 4 plus 5 plus 10 plus, block, mighty blow, thick skull. So they come with mighty blow plus 1. So he's done a great job of getting all the fantasy units and the theme in there, with one more, the Underway Dwarf Slayer. Underway Slayers differ from their big guy hunting cousins in that these Slayers accompany the Underway patrols against goblins and Skaven. They have become far more accustomed to fighting hugely outnumbered, and as such they are masters of taking on multiple opponents at once. 100k, 0 to 2 Underway Slayers, 4, 3, 4 plus 5 plus 9 plus, so lose a movement but gain block, multiple block, dauntless and thick skull. So they lose frenzy but they get multiple block instead, and they lose a point of movement as well. And they lose general skills, but they've got block already, so it doesn't matter. They get strength, which means they can't upgrade to frenzy. Oh, that's clever, Sam. That's very clever. Oh, yeah, that was nice. Anyway, the Underway Dwarf roster, I loved it. I know it's Sam, and he probably knows my love for Warhammer Fantasy and has used that to highlight this one. But this is a dwarf team I would play.
This is really cool. Yeah, like when I first saw this, I was like, "That's like a new team." But that's just because he's styled it so well. Like it's a dwarf roster with some minor tweaks. You know,
he's
lineman being stand firm instead of block and tackle, immediately more interesting and very dwarf.
Yeah, I love the Rangers
of the or kind of like the nobility lineman being fend. It's like it changes a lot having everyone being stand firm. Good luck breaking into cages when you've got all of them as
but no block.
But no block, exactly.
The Rangers are my absolute favourite though. It's just
a really cool take because it's like you say, it's just a really interesting and well designed player, and it feels a lot more like, you know, instead of just being like a passing dwarf or like a running dwarf, it's just got a theme in it. It just slightly tweaks that player type to be still a runner in a different way. And I think that's really cool.
I love it. And we've got another dwarf one from Cooper Stokes. So this is the other dwarf one from Patreon. Hey Ben, sending through my entry here for the team design competition. As there are so many dwarf teams coming out at the moment, what better team to alter? And I mean, they could do with a nerf anyway. So immediately, I like Cooper. So what we got? We've got 0 to 12 dwarf blockers, 4, 3, 4 plus 5 plus 10 plus, wrestle, tackle, thick skull, 70k. I like that change. We've seen that before. Actually, they're more becoming wrestler. Quite interesting instead of block. You're going to lower the amount of casualties. You're going to pay for it with movement, and it just feels a little bit more fair. I like that. But it gets fun here. So 0 to 2 dwarf miners. 5, 3+, 5+, 9+, mine, pickaxe, 60k. We'll come back to that in a second. 0 to 2 dwarf runners. 5, 3, 3+, 4+, 9+, sure hands, thick gun, sprint for 80k. 0 to 1 death roller. 4, 7, 5+, 11+ armor. Break tackle, dirty player 2. Jugs, loner 5+, mighty blow. No hand, secret weapon, stand firm, pile driver, 160k. So drop the cost of that a little bit. Rest of the team remains the same. So here's the thing I really like about this. Mine. Once per turn, a player with the mine skill may enter a trapdoor square and attempt to travel to the other trapdoor square on the pitch if no other player occupies it. On a 2+, the player is successful. On a roll of a 1, the player becomes lost. Roll again. On the roll of another 1, the player is lost forever under the pitch and treat them as dead. On the roll of a 2+, the player resurfaces on the trapdoor he originally stood on. Once the player comes out of any trapdoor, they may rush up to 2 squares afterwards. They can only rush afterwards. And the same rule is pickaxe. Same rules for stab apply, but basically with mighty blow to either armor or injury roll. I just love it. I love the little miner references. Sam went with bombers. This guy's got pickaxes to just stab people and can go underground.
It is really, really, really flavorful.
It's a little tweak. I think it's great.
I realize too. It's death roller. It could be cheaper.
Yeah, and the wrestle. I tell you what, wrestle on the dwarf blocker. We've seen it a couple of times suggested, and you know what? I do think that would fix dwarves.
I agree. It's a totally different, play style to block.
They're slow.
It's way more of a risk.
But, you get the opportunity. I don't know. I just think it's a very clever way of doing it.
Totally.
Like it. Okay, Ben, have you got your mighty dice ready?
I do.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, Sam. 4, 5, 6, Cooper.
That's a 4.
It's Cooper. Cooper wins a dwarf team as well. So, just want to say a massive thank you to everybody who sent in these, because they are fantastic. I have got plans. I haven't spoken to Ben about this yet, but I've got some plans to start compiling these into little compendiums. And I think that could be cool. I mean, I'm thinking Dwarf and Skaven Underway League. I'll put a little PDF together with these teams. And I don't know, maybe 5 dwarf teams, 5 Skaven teams, some underground rules, would be good. And just have a really good time. And then by the time we finish with that, we can probably play a couple of the games in and get them on camera. Fancy dwarf team, fancy Skaven team. Could be really cool. Could be really fun. Let us know if you think that's a good idea, because if you do, we will do it. Because I think with Death Zone landing this weekend, we're not going to have any Blood Bowl new stuff for a few months, which means we get to play with craziness. And hopefully. I like this a lot. No, that's wicked. That's great, guys. Thank you ever so much. We will probably have a competition coming up soon. But again, haven't had a chance to talk to Ben about it yet. So we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to use the loo, going to make another 2 cups of tea, and pester Ben about our next competition. And we'll be back with Death Zone. And we're back, and I got told off by my fiance for calling glasses and cups glassware, and then Ben chimed in.
Outrageously middle class.
It's just the culture of work. It's because that's the section it's called in cooking and dining, you see. And Tiff just stood there and shook her head. That's not my fault.
Just even calling it dining is like.
It's
can't dine without my glassware.
Well, you've got to have appropriate glassware, and I am terrible, and I have appropriate glassware everywhere in the studio. Although it's all cleared now, and that may be why the conversation happened, as my beloved wandered down the stairs with about a year's worth of cups, which is why I've been reduced to my iHeart unpaid overtime mug instead of the Bonehead ones, because they are all in a pile now. It's not surprising. It's what happened the other day. Actually, Tiff came to my work because she got a job also working for the same company. So she came to work with one of my assistants for a day to like learn the tricks of the trade. My office naturally looks like my studio. And she was just talking to Lily. She was like, is he always this messy? And Lily's like, I don't know how you effing cope at home. I assume he's exactly the same. And Tiff was like, he's exactly the same. And I'm there and I'm like, my spreadsheets are pristine, but nothing else is, and I'm okay with it.
If it could be cleaned up with a delete button, like a delete key.
Dude,
it's good.
Look, if it was meant to be tidy, there would be a sort function. That's yeah. I don't know. Maybe one day I'll make enough money selling glassware to afford a butler, and that'll solve everything. I don't want a butler. If I had a butler, we'd just be playing Blood Bowl all day long. Oh, I'd make a great eccentric billionaire.
That would be good, actually. That would be good. I'll be a butler.
Oh, man. You could be my sidekick. This would be genius. We could have a Blood Bowl island. We could build the underway. It'd be wicked. Anyway, we're talking about Death Zone because it's out now. Asterix, unless you bought it from a third-party shop that Games Workshop forgot to send it to due to a massive software error. Sad. Sigh face. Hey, at least it's going to come out. At least they're going to be producing more. Unlike Curse City. So yeah, a tick. Got another one on there. Poor Curse City. Anyway, Death Zone is out. Right. Ben, did you I know you haven't seen the book in person, but have you've seen the contents page?
Yes. I was very excited with that Warhammer community post.
So I've prepared a graphic here for those of you watching on the YouTube, summarizing the rules stuff that's in this book. We've got infamous coaching staff, we've got a bunch of wizards, we've got referees, we've got other inducements, we've got mercenaries, which is a big chunk of rules. We've got giants are back, which is phenomenal. And
oh good,
dude, I'm so excited. We're gonna have to do another episode focused on giants, I think. And anyway, we're not gonna go massively deep into giants because it will last forever. And well, I think giants deserve their own episode. It's only been 6 months since we talked about. Actually, it's been about 18 months since we talked about giants. That was last Christmas, wasn't it? We did the giant competition.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
Yeah, I agree with you, Ben. It's time for another one.
That time, that crazy idea we had where it's like, let's play giants and print out loads of giants, and we never did.
Well, we should bring that back. We didn't, because Blood Bowl 22 killed the giants off. They got cursed citied.
Yeah.
So that's our excuse. Dude,
good one.
It's time for giants. And now I've got a 3D printer, so it's going to take no time at all. In fact, you know the model that we've got that we haven't printed enough of to start selling yet? You could upscale that to a giant level, I reckon.
Definitely could.
Oh, and some of the Punga dwarves would make amazing, like fire giants.
They'll be, they would really nicely supplement the other giants we were going to use, those fire giants.
Those Chaos Dwarf giants.
Use them as slightly small. You good.
All right, we're doing this.
Getting ahead of ourselves. There's only 4 pages of giants in this book, and we can definitely cover like 15 hours of content.
Yeah, absolutely. This needs its own episode. There are also rules for sponsorships and stadiums and balls. There's also weather tables for all kinds of countries and years, and match events. Now, match events is a really interesting special rule that just kind of appears and chaotic stuff happens. I love it. And most importantly of all, they have updated the Blood Bowl 7's rules for 2020, which is fantastic. It's the first time I think we're seeing an official product with 7s in, and the 7s pitches out. Like, it's just so good. So this book is chonky with stuff. And all of it is entirely optional. Some of it is just unusable, but it's just, if there was ever a book that you could just spend hours delving into and being inspired by, it is Death Zone. You do not need this book. No one needs this book, except for the 7's rules, because everyone needs that book. But I love everything in this book. And a couple of people on the YouTube did put comments like, they've looked at they've listened to the Bonehead podcast clearly, because they've given you wizards and giants and 7s, and I'm like, yes, this should just be called
for us.
Yeah, this should just be called Bonehead Podcast Blood Bowl Death Zone, because it's just winning. I like. It's just so good. Anyway, what we're going to do is we're not going to delve into each area fully because there's just too much. There is legitimately too much to go through. So we're going to focus on a couple of bits as we go. We're going to give you kind of overview of all Death Zone. take a bit of a deep dive into a couple of bits, but you will see videos released independently that take deep dives into certain of these areas, and I have no doubt that Ben and I are going to talk about wizards again and about giants, and we'll probably end up talking about sponsorships in League and how that affects it, because this is stuff that impacts it and is really interesting. Because what a list, man. What's missing from the list,
I like this. Something that I like about this is every single coach benefits from this equally, really. Like there's like, it's not, you get a lot of books that come out which are like, 2 teams can get this sort of thing, or you see it a lot in like 40k and Age of Sigmar where something will be released and it's not really for everyone. There's a lot in there that you can't use, but in here it's just like, do you want more Blood Bowl stuff for like regardless of whatever team you have?
Yeah, they've released a Blood Bowl expansion, not a army expansion. And this is just, I don't even remember how much this book was. It's just already worth it. It just is. It doesn't even matter, because if you think about all the Spike magazines, you get a wizard and maybe a ball. This is just awesome. I'm just going to binge this for ages. So let's move on. So there's wizards. Wizards are back. There are a bunch of wizards in here. I think all of the ones from the previous Spikes are in here. I'm not sure. I can't remember if the new Necro one is in there or not. But there's a couple of new ones as well. So let's go with the High Elf Mage. 150k, available to any team with the Elven Kingdoms League special rule. Now, elves don't actually have a lot in the way of special inducements and star players at the moment, so them getting some extra stuff is pretty good. And it also talks about High Elf Mages, so I think we can be pretty sure that the High Elves are going to be seen in Blood Bowl, which is really good. Yeah. So they have 2 spells. They've got Temporal Distortion. You may attempt to move both teams' turn markers forwards or backwards 1 space, effectively causing both teams to gain or lose an extra turn. Both turn markers must move in the same direction. Declare which one you want to do, and then roll a d6. On a 5+, it's successful, and it happens. On a 1 to 4, nothing happens. So that's a really interesting one. They've also got Thunderbolt as the other spell, which is on a 3+. It works, and the player being targeted by the Thunderbolt is knocked down, and +1 modifier to either armor or injury. So you can just pick a dude and zap him on a 3+ with Mighty Blow, which is awesome as well. So elves got really good wizards, which makes sense. Temporal Distortion, Ben. What do you think to that?
That is really kind of cool. I like that a lot. It's not gonna happen that often.
Yeah,
it's quite an expensive commitment, but absolutely potentially a game changer. Unless you roll it and you get the 5+ and you're really happy, and then you roll a 1 and he turns over. But,
yeah, 1 into 1. Yeah, classic elf rolling. But I don't know.
I think it's really cool. Imagine being like, just where another team, they're like gonna grind you down 2-1, and you just flick it forward. They don't have enough spaces to move. What BM is that?
Straight to turn 8, or they grind you down, right? And they are 1-0 up, or they've equalised, and they've camped at the end of the game. They're going to send it back to you. You're hoping you'll roll the riot. You don't roll a riot, boom, you can chuck in that wizard. Now, the great thing about this one is that cheeky 3+ Thunderbolt is just a fantastic spell. 3+, knock a dude down and Mighty Blow him. Like, that's just the best spell. I think, what was it? Lightning Bolt used to be a 2+, and it would still fail, but 3+ is great. Like, I'm really happy with those odds, and I like the fact that you've got this other utility that could really save you. And I don't know, maybe it's the end of the turn, maybe it's the end of the half, and you've got an opportunity to, they've taken 7 turns to score. Maybe you just risk it. Maybe you just risk it and try and go equalise at the end of the half, and then have the whole half. I don't know. I think it's a really useful wizard. And there's a couple of other new ones as well. I have to go with this one because I'm now the Skaven guy. Warlock Engineer for Underworld Challenge teams. Let's ignore all that. There are 2 elements to this. It gets Thunderbolt as well, but there's also Warp Lightning. So roll a d6 for every standing player So warp lightning follows a path from one sideline to the other, moving in a straight line from the starting point directly towards the opposing sideline. Roll a d6 for every standing player from any team that occupies a square in the warp lightning's path. So very similar to the ogre one. On a 3+, the player has been hit. On a 1 to 2, nothing. Standing players who are hit get knocked down and +1 armor roll, so mighty blow. Finally, when a player is knocked down by warp lightning, roll a d6. On a 1, the warp lightning is earthed through that player. Do not roll to see if any more players are hit. On a 2+, it carries on going. So that's a 3+, they're hit, and you also have Thunderbolt. So you can zap from a sideline across the pitch, which can be used. Now, what does it say? The start of any of the opposition's team turns. Dude, this is brutal.
That line of scrimmage, be careful setting up if they've got a Warlock Engineer, because...
And it's not like the spell fails. Like, you are gonna have a 3+ chance to hit the first guy. If it hits the first guy, it's gonna carry on. Oh, no, you have to roll to hit the guy.
Really, this is where this one seems a bit odd that they've put Thunderbolt in, because this is just better. At worst, this is still a regular Thunderbolt, right?
Well, it starts going in from the sideline, so if there's a guy flanking, but they'd have to have 3 in a row. So if they've got a ball carrier, they would have to have 2 players standing perpendicular. Like, yeah, I think you're right. I don't know. It's less utilitarian than the time turning one, but I don't know, man. I'm a
more like like I think you use warp lightning and it works. I think the turn one, you'll always be thinking just like it's a 33% chance to actually succeed. It's
mighty blow as well. So you just gotta there is a really good chance you can just wreck a ton of the opponent.
To all the coaches out there, if you take a Warlock Engineer, please tell your opponent what it does. Don't tell them you have it, and tell them what it does, because you don't want to be that person where they set up on the line of scrimmage and you just say bam, bam, bam.
Oh, I see you've gone 7 wide on the line of scrimmage. Can I borrow some dice? I love it. Anyway, Wizards are back, baby, and it's probably not a massive spoiler, but Top 5 Friday next week is Top 5 Wizards from Death Zone, because I couldn't help myself, and I've already started filming it because I'm just so excited about having Wizards back. So we've got Wizards, and we've got some new Wizards, and one of them is a High Elf Wizard, which means we're probably going to get High Elves, which is very exciting. What else have we got? Oh, let's move on to other inducements. So in the land of other inducements, it's weird. It's stuff that isn't... So Wizards are technically infamous coaching. This is other stuff. So this is cavorting Nurgling's Halfling Hot Pot. And then we've got a couple of newbies here. So we're going to go with the Wag Drummer. 50k for Badlands Brawls teams. So that's Orcs, Goblins, Black Orcs. And at the start of each drive, after the kickoff event has been resolved, but before the ball lands, roll 3d6. For every 4+, one player on the opposing team can be pushed back 1 square towards their own end zone. Exactly if a pushback block dice had been applied against them, so stand firm isn't going to work. The same player can be pushed back more than once by this inducement. And it's the start of each drive.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's great fun. Like, for 50k, for 50k, this is more wizardy than most Wizards.
Yeah, it just kind of works.
And you get to do it again and again. And it's the opposing team, isn't it? It's just the opposing team. I kind of like the idea of a Wag Drummer motivating your own team. I think we've seen stuff like that before. But actually, this is just, what is it? That it terrifies them. It is, yeah. It can also be downright terrifying for the other side. This is great. And if they deploy a player deep, or you just deploy someone near the tree men, goodbye.
Yeah.
If you're kicking this... If you roll 3 4+, I know this is best case scenario mentality, but you can just obliterate their opening blocks. And you get to do it every single time. Yeah,
that is really good.
This is
just
so
thinking
cool.
You can really use this in a huge way. Is this really? Yeah, this it can instantly free up your players from a tackle zone if you wanted to.
Free up your players. It can also help position. Sideline frenzies off and stuff. You can't move them left and right, but you can remove their shielding player. Because if they deploy 2 in the sideline, there's normally a player deployed ahead of them, so they can't get a corner frenzy. Push that dude back 1 square.
Yeah, wow.
and off the pitch. I love it. That is going to combo really well when we see the Savage Orc team turn up. My money is on that one.
Definitely. Which is definitely coming.
I claimed Squigs, didn't I? I should have claimed Savage Orcs. Because I do think that's coming. Anyway, all right. Well, should we do we'll do the Dwarven Runesmith as well. It's pretty cool. So this is.
I wanted to chat with this one because there's something I really don't like about it.
Okay, cool. I like this. 50k, Old World Classic, and World's Edge Super League. So during the start of each drive, after step 2 but before step 3, they've done a lot of this in the rulebook in this book, which is really clarifying when stuff happens, which I kind of like. You can select a single player on your team that is currently on the pitch that does not have loner, and choose one of the following runes to use. On a 4+, the rune takes effect, but you cannot attempt to use the runesmith again at the start of a drive. On a on a 2 or 3, it doesn't do anything, and on a 1, it does not work, and you can't attempt to use the runesmith again. All right, so on a all right, you get 1 use out of it basically. On a 1, you don't get to try again. So Rune of Might. Until the end of this drive, they get Mighty Blow +1. Rune of Fury, Dauntless and Frenzy. Rune of Speed, Sprint and Sure Feet. Rune of Iron, +1 AV and Stand Firm. So I feel like they just looked at Sam's dwarf roster here. And Rune of Impact, Juggernaut and Horns. What's not to love, man?
What is not to love is that it's available to Old World Classic. You can't put it on Loner X+, which means you can't put it on the dwarves, and it's a dwarven rune.
Oh no! Old World Classic is just the tag, isn't it?
Yeah, but like in your OWA team, which would be a really themey thing to have the dwarves using their runes, and you can't use it.
All right, that's actually a really good point.
It really annoys me.
That is a theme fail, isn't it?
Yeah, I know where they're going with it, and it does make a lot of sense on like a dwarf team. It just seems like a kind of just say like someone who isn't strength 5 if you want to take away big guys.
World's Edge and Old World Classic. So who is that? That is dwarves. You have both of them. There's halflings. Halflings get it. Humans, nobility, ogres. They don't have loner. That's quite nice, but most of them have got the skills you need anyway. Although a frenzy on an ogre might be quite fun. OWA, like you said, Ben. That is a bit of a. That is. Oh, I'm with you. That's sad.
It's actually annoying.
No, I get it. Still, it's quite cool. I like that they're exploring what they can do with this, with the inducements element, and it's all optional, isn't it?
The thing I like is that, it's a little bit annoying where it only happens on a 4+, and then you can't use it again. But like, if that's a sacrifice to make it 50k, that's fine, because inducements, I think we need more cheap ones, and that's cool because you can easily take that 50k, and I probably would.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're a dwarf team, to be honest. Do I want a keg or do I want this wizard? I do like that drummer though. I think the drummer is really clever.
Yeah. Really tech. It's a real tech little.
It's going to be useful, but it's not overwhelming. Like, it just does a couple of stuff. Like, I don't know. I like that. I think the 50k point is really, really good. Right. Next up is the big one, which is the mercenaries. So we're going to take a little bit more of a deep dive on mercenaries than on the other ones, because the other ones you just have to read a bunch. The mercenaries you have to read, and there is a bunch of mathing. So let's summarize the mercenaries. Mercenaries in Blood Bowl core rulebook is 0 to infinite, and you can buy a dude and you can buy 1 skill on the dude, and it's alignment with loner, right? That's mercenaries and has been mercenaries forever. There is an option in Death Zone to replace that with 0 to 3 new mercenaries. And of that 0 to 3, there are 5 different types, and each of the different types have a cap. So what I thought we might do, Ben, is just quickly talk through each of the 5, just to get like a... We've spoken about this before, haven't we? Multiple times. So where do we start? Should we do the Bonafide Big Guy.
That's it. Yeah, he's sort of vanilla flavour, isn't he?
So Bonafide Big Guy, you choose one of these guys. So the big guy is 0 to 1, 130k, 4/5, 4+ agility, 5+ passing, armor 9+, bonehead, loner 4+, mighty blow +1, and throw teammate. So you pick one of the types of mercenary, and then you can add skills, you can add stats, and you can add traits. And traits turn them into kind of archetypes. There's like the ball and chain, there's like the chainsaw, and when it comes to big guys, there's like the Minotaur upgrade, the troll upgrade, and it's incredibly complicated. So I've done breakdown videos for each type of mercenary because it is so complicated. But there is a kind of reverse way to do it. So you don't worry about picking a big guy or a stunty. You pick one of the archetypes. So within the big guy, there's like 5 different archetypes. There's this guy, there's the troll archetype, there's the Minotaur archetype, there's the rat ogre archetype, and then there is the mini morgue, which doesn't have a nega trait, but has mighty blow +2, which is pretty sweet. You kind of pick one of those, and then you can add skills or remove stats, because you can remove up to 2 points of a stat for 20k, for 10k each. So you can actually downgrade the cost. So there's a big guy for 130k. There's also a stunty for 30k. And this gets really mathy, which obviously I'm okay with. You know, I like a bit of maths, but when I was going through this stuff, I was like,
it's overwhelming, honestly, a little bit.
This is really full on. Troll archetype. Here we go. Where's the stunty? Here's the stunty boy. So stunty 0 to 2 stunty superstars, 30k, 5/2, 3+, 4+, 6+, dodge, loner 4+, right stuff stunty. So you get a 30k loner halfling. You have to get at least one upgrade. So you have to buy a skill. When it comes to the stunties, they get an agility skill for 10k. So it's a 40k one, and you can remove a passing stat, for example, and make it 30k again. Like, you can still do stuff. So you've got big guys, you've got stunties, then you've got legendary linemen, I think, are the next one.
Yeah, which is sort of like a human stat, isn't it?
Here we go. Legendary lineman, 0 to 2, 50k a piece. Yeah, humans, linemen basically. 6/3, 3+, 4+, 9+, loner 4+. And there's also 2 others, which is a blocker and a I can't be bothered to find the graphic for that one. So you get a blocker and you get what's called a ringer, which is basically an elf. Give me 2 secs. I'll grab the stats and
reliable ringer, 6/3, 2+, 3+, 8+.
There you go. Thank you, Ben.
Right.
So yeah, that's an interesting one. That's an elf. And
blocker.
Yeah, go for the blocker.
The blocker is 70k. Movement 4, strength 4, 4+, 6+, 9+.
Brilliant.
So black basically.
So you start off with one of the types. So they're all restricted. So I think is it 1 blocker or 2 blockers you can have? I think it's 1.
1.
Yeah, 1 blocker, 1 big guy, 2 stunties, 2 linemen, and 1 or 2 of the ringers.
2 ringers.
2 ringers. You can only take 3 overall, so within that they're all restricted. And you start off by picking one. So we've got the... No, I don't want to go there. Do you want big guy or stunty, Ben? Which one should we delve into?
I think we spoke a lot of the big guy in the previous one. We saw the tease. So let's do stunty. I think that could be quite fun.
Let's go for the stunty. So there is a ton of different things for the stunty. The stunty has 7 archetypes. So we'll just have a quick look. So we're going to bring up the archetypes here for the stunty superstar. There is essentially, you change it to loner 5+, get dirty player +1 and sneaky git for 50k. You get loner +5+, dirty player +2 and sneaky git for +80k. You can take a bombardier secret weapon for 40k. You can take stab and secret weapon for 20k. You can take a pogo stick for 50k. And then there is also a chainsaw and a ball and chain. So this kind of fills in for a lot of the missing goblin stars. Here we go. So ball and chain, 60k. You lose dodge, you lose 2 movement, so you go down to movement 3. ball and chain, no hands, secret weapon, and you gain +3 strength. So you go to strength 5. The chainsaw one, plus 40k, lose dodge, chainsaw, no hands, secret weapon. And then this is when it gets really gnarly. So you can have one of these, okay? But on top of having one of those, you get this menu. So I broke this down to do the individual videos, and there's just so many options. So Stunty Superstar can take 1 agility skill for 10k, or can take 2 or more agility skills for 20k each. You can take up to 1 general skill for 40k, but can't take Dirty Player. You can take 1 passing skill for 20k and 1 mutation skill for 30k. Stats, you can increase movement for 30k, increase agility for 40k, increase passing for 30k, armor by 30k, and -1 to any stat for 10k. So
10k.
yeah, exactly. So the clever thing to do with the Stunty is to take a halfling, add, I don't know, sidestep or jump up, and then take passing away, and you get an extra body on the line for 30k. And you can take 2 of those, chuck it on a Skaven team, 60k, you've got 2 halflings to go on the line, which means you get to keep your Skaven off the line, which keeps your guys alive. That's really clever.
Is that stackable, the -1?
Yeah,
I'm assuming
up to 2.
Up to 2, okay.
Yeah, you can increase or reduce a stat by up to 2, but you cannot reduce the cost of the player below the original cost. So the linemen have to be at least 50k, the Stunty has to be at least 30k, and the big guy can't get cheaper than 130 unless it is a troll, in which case it becomes 120, which is weird. So there are so many different types of mercenaries, and I wanted to talk through it, but I was prepping show notes for today, and I was like, this is just not possible. There's just too many options, because you've got 5 different guys. Each of them has a different menu of stats and skills, and then has between 2 and 7 trait packages, and you can combine them in any way you like.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, Ben. I absolutely love this. This is like so crunchy. I just want to get stuck into finding the best. Which
that's
one
it.
Is
and there's definitely going to be an element of that in whatever you go with. So
good.
So what I did for the videos was break down the original and then go and present the trait packages as the archetypes instead, because I feel like it's easier to work back from that. So if choose one of the traits for the Stunty, Ben. Got loads.
Let's go. What, one of the packages?
Yeah.
I quite like the Dirty Player Sneaky Git one. Dirty Player +1.
Dirty Player +1. Here we go. So if you want a Dirty Player +1 Stunty, it's 80k, 5, 2, 3 plus 4 plus 6 plus, Dodge, Loner 5 plus, Stunty, Dirty Player +1, and Sneaky Git. That is the base stats. Then you can reduce some stats, you can add some stats, you can add a skill, whatever. I think the best thing to do here with the Dirty Player +1 player, lose 2 passing. Save yourself 20k, 60k for a halfling with stompy boots and Sneaky Git, basically. That is that's
really sweet.
Yeah, I think it's awesome.
Yeah, you're going to get a lot of use out of that. I like a human team, I think, could easily take that and have a good time.
These are available to almost any team. Now, the difficulty and the complicated bit is some of the trait packages and some of the upgrades are only available to some teams. So, Dirty Player +1 is Badlands, Brawls, Favoured, Halfling Thimble Cup, Lustria, Old World, and Underworld. So, basically almost all teams except Elves, which is fine. And that's another element that was like, hang about, what now? This one can take this one can't take this one, and there's a difference between Dirty Player +2 and Dirty Player +1, like with the teams that can take them, and it's just incredibly full on. But
yeah,
I did come up with this one, Ben. You take a Stunty Superstar, 30k, you drop its passing down twice to 10k. Now you've got to have a minimum cost of 30k. Passing skills are 20k. So you drop its passing down to 6 plus for -20. Take a passing skill that is 20k. Ben, can you recommend a good passing skill for 20k?
Leader?
Exactly right. Now, some of them can't take leader. So the legendary lineman can't take leader and can't take Dirty Player. but the halfling can. So you can piece together a halfling leader, which is basically a 30k reroll that you can just put on the line to die when you've used it. And you can buy 2.
To take the 100k reroll inducement.
No, when you can just chuck it on a halfling body, which is just amazing. Yeah, 1 passing skill, 20k, and -2 to your passing. So he's got a 6+ passing. It doesn't even matter what stat you remove. You just get a halfling with a reroll for 30k. You use
That's
it.
probably worth a homebrew.
That's just amazing. So, right. So there are clearly some crazy combos, and players are going to have such a good time building this. But, Ben, can you think of any negatives to including mercenaries in your league?
You kidding? Like, this is going to break everyone. Like, you were saying this as like a league commissioner. This is like a living nightmare. Yeah, I think this is going to have to take a very organized league structure to use easily. Because I think in a lot of cases, this is going to replace star players for a lot of situations. Like you say, the secret weapons, this is pretty much now what they are.
Yeah.
They're these mercenaries. And so, yeah, I think in the situation where they're going to come up a lot is basically what I'm saying, because they're good value, really good value.
Oh, they're so good value. I mean, the big guy one is just phenomenal, and that's without reducing the cost based on stats, which is the mini morgue. The mini morgue is just almost an auto buy if you've got the cash, because where are you? So many graphics. Mini morgue, here we go. Mini morgue archetype, 180k, 4/5, 4+5 +9+, mighty blow +2, throw teammate, the loner 5+. All right, that's 180k. Then you hammer down the passing stat, save 20k, and take block for 40k. 200k for a 4/5, 4+. At that point, it would be 0 passing stat, 9+ with mighty blow +2 and block for 200k. That is better than Zug.
Yeah.
Mighty blow +2.
So
block.
do you reckon the tax for not taking star players, well, for taking these over star players, the tax is that you have to like beg your commissioner to do it? Because this is like,
well, I think
it's a no-brainer for so many situations.
I think you kind of got a couple of different choices when it comes to running your league. Because Ben, you are exactly right. From a commissioner point of view, it's probably fine if it was like you, me, Craig, and Rich had a little mini league on the go. This would be great, no problem at all. But our Wobble League's got 20-something coaches of differing levels and differing commitments, and sometimes you can run up and your game isn't there, so you have to play a different coach. You sit down. You and I were planning on playing, Ben, and you were minus 150, so you were like, sweet, I'm going to take 2 leader halflings and a lineman with kick. It's going to be fantastic. Like, I'm going to ruffle stomp you with the power of my rerolls. And then a new guy comes along, so actually I end up bowing out so that you can play the new guy, and he's down 100k. And then you're like, right, yeah, here's your team. That's fantastic. So you've got 100k, so you can buy a mercenary, and these are the 4 you can afford. And on top of that, do you want to increase his stat? Do you want to reduce? Do you want to add a skill? Do you want to add a general skill? There's 12 to choose from. You can also add an agility skill. There's 12 of those to choose from. And they just end up having convulsions and die. And
it's a lot of admin.
I think prepping for games, it's quite cool. It adds a really amazing constructed element, like a really amazing list building constructed element. And I think the best way I reckon to do it, and I'd love your thoughts on this one, BT, before the season starts or just during the season, you can create 1 per coach. You brew up a famous local star, and he's available for everybody. And
that is cool.
You can vote them in or vote them out. Like, you could create this guy and everyone's like, actually, that's too powered. That's not fluffy. That's just gamesmanship. Get out, 30k leader. That makes no sense at all. And you're like, yeah, fair enough. But then actually you end up with a list of, 10 star players that are cheap for the league. And as the season develops, you can say, actually, you know what? I kind of fancy this one as well. Let's sub him out. I make a motion to add this player to the list. Actually, then it's a lot easier because you've got your star players and everything, and you've also got this list, and you can do the thing that you recommended, Ben, right when we talked about Bonehead big guys. Build a model to fit.
That's so good. This would be, my nobility team with Honcho Zan, the main big guy leader. Yeah, he could be this instead. He could be a bona fide big guy, and I can just run a normal ogre that people recognize and doesn't have a sword. And yeah, that could be like, that's a really good way of doing it. I'm so on board with that. Everyone has their one.
Yeah, and you don't necessarily, you could even and really, really easily allow your chosen one to be rostered to your team if you want. It wouldn't be far-fetched to say you can build a mercenary and you can roster him to your team. That's your star player for the season. And it is kind of balanced by cost, because startup cost is very different to inducement cost. If you need to fit a 200k block Mighty Blow +2 player into your roster, you're going to be giving up other stuff, including rerolls.
Yeah.
Balancing factor. If you're down 250k, there is no reason not to take a mini Morg with block and a leader halfling. Just literally, what? Griff is never going to see the pitch again except by Ian Triplo.
Move over Grack and Crumbleberry.
Yeah, Grack and Crumbleberry. And we've got Mini Morg and Brain. It's going to look like Master Blaster from Mad Max. It's just this hench dude, and it's Pinky and the Brain, but on the Blood Bowl pitch. And yeah, I feel like there's some designs that are great and clever, and there's some designs that are just literally broken. And I doing these videos, I was working through, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. Actually, you can reduce passing by 20, which means you get 20k basic skill to give him. And actually, block is 200k for block Mighty Blow +2. Yeah, loan of 5+ is a bit rubbish, but you're rolling 2 dice and you've got block all the time. And when you block them down, it's +2. There's just a lot of combos. And you can sacrifice.
Oh, so exciting.
Yeah.
I wonder how Blood Bowl 3 is going. It's probably just not going to have these, right?
And this is exactly what I mean. This is never going to see Fumble. And if it does, it will only be from a pre-generated list. And I think if you're going to run a league and you want to have mercenaries, just allow every player to design one mercenary at the beginning of the league. Have a model painted for the league. And if you're playing on Club Night, the first person to take him gets to use that model. I think that's probably the best way to get these in. I do think they're awesome, but there is a danger zone element here. And I don't know, Ben, tournaments, what do you reckon?
I think this will be a good way to do themed tournaments. So when we had the Albion one with the Fen Beast, I think this would be a good alternative to that. So you can be like, for this tournament, these are the mercenaries you can pick from.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh, I love that. Yeah. And that's actually what the section in the book says. It's like you can use this to design your own star players. You actually can. And I think they end up being more strict. See, the difficulty with the star players in Blood Bowl is that they've normally got one skill that they don't need to keep the cost up. I feel like most stars do have that additional skill that you're like, I would never give that guy a skill. This allows you to just sack off their passing stat, get rid of that extra skill they don't need, and just absolutely optimum, It's
the best justification for the passing stat in this edition. Is now you've got a dump stat.
It's just to sack off the stat to make your other skills cheaper. And you know what? Yeah. That's fine. But yeah, there's going to be a spreadsheet coming out soon. I started building it today and then got distracted by wedding stuff, actually. Silly apocalypse getting in the way of my spreadsheeting on my day off. I actually took a holiday day today to play with Death Zone things. Finished my work project. I was like, I've got some time out. I'm going to take it. I'm going to rock a PD. I'm going to rock a personal day and just film and explore Death Zone. And I had a great time. Oh, it was mostly good, apart from when Curse City got cancelled. 17. So that's mercenaries. The next thing to mention is giants. Yeah. Giants went down 50k, but basically work the same way as they did before.
That's cool. We hadn't had too much experience with them. Like they came sort of the end of the old edition. and
Talk.
yeah, we didn't get to see them much. So
Nah, I had a go. They were great.
you did.
I definitely. In one game, I used a giant against Dan from Club's massive mega orc team with my.
Oh yeah, 3100 EV.
Yeah, I won 3-0 with the Browntown Steamers, my underworld team, before they had gutter runners. To be fair, it was like shiny new toy syndrome. It was, oh my god, there's a giant, right? All my black orcs, let's go take on this giant. In the meantime, the rest of my team is just running around scoring touchdowns. Yeah, it's still 0-1 giants as well, which is silly. And I think the breakdown actually says this is a very, very optional rule. Which,
mandatory.
Yeah. However, everything else I think has stayed the same. But they've got break tackle, which is not good anymore because break tackle is just +2, so they're dodging on the 3+ into the open, which is a bit garbage, which is sad. They should have had extra rules. They can walk over prone players and stuff. Otherwise, everything else from Giants I think is basically the same as it was before. And you know what? Like you said, Ben, actually, they were cool, but they weren't amazing. 50k drop is pretty good, but everything kind of dropped 50k from an inducement point of view. So yeah, I like it. I would like to see more Giants. I'd like to see them cheaper, and I'd like to see them mandatory. But I feel like that would trigger some coaches. Yeah. So in our league, you have to have a Giant and a Wizard. That'll be 4 players in that league.
Yeah, I was going to say goodbye, everyone.
And 2 of them are me. Yeah. Oh, okay. Weather tables and match events. So in the book as well, there's a bunch of different weather tables, which is just cool if you want to use it. It ties in well to the themed league stuff, Ben, that you and I have been talking about. That we love the idea of. But there is also match events. Now, I really like this. Let's get the breakdown. Match events are a great way to add some unexpected situations to Blood Bowl games. Unlike special play cards, they are triggered at random during the match, and neither coach knows which match event will be triggered until it comes into play. Match events are not recommended for events as tournaments or during the playoff season as a league, as they can greatly unbalance the action. But if you want some narrative spice to Blood Bowl, you can chuck this in. And this, along with basically the special play cards, adds that element of narrative play. And Death Zone is all about narrative and creativity. Like, it's imbalanced. Like, tournament players are going to hate this book hard, right? But I love it because it's creative. Yeah. So the match events. I thought, right. So if a match event if match events are in use, basically you just agree to use match events. Each coach rolls a d16 at the beginning of their turn after they've moved their turn marker. On the roll of a 1, a thing happens. You both roll a d6. Excuse me, and you look at. Is it d6 or is it d8? D16.
It's a D8, D6.
Oh, that is, yeah. So you roll a D8, your opponent rolls a D6, and you look up on a D86 chart. So we'll give... which one should we just have a quick look at? We'll look at 1 to 2, 4. Moment of glory. So remember, this is the beginning of your turn. You're rolling the dice. You get a 1. You both roll and check up the chart. So this is realistically going to trigger once per player per game. On statistical average, which I think is quite cool. So, moment of glory. One of the players has decided that this is their time to shine, and they're playing for fame, glory, and a place in the annals of sports history, and nothing is going to get in their way. Randomly select a player on the active team that is currently on the pitch. If that player is the first to be activated this team turn, they may re-roll a single dice during their activation. This may be a dice rolled as single dice or part as a pool, etc. This re-roll may be used on its own or in conjunction with a skill re-roll. Or in conjunction with team re-rolls, blah, blah, blah. Basically, it's just like a moment of glory, so that turn, that guy gets to re-roll a thing. There's loads of cool stuff. There's pop, the ball bursts, there's dodgy trapdoors, there's magical stuff, there's demons. Gonna be...
There's so much stuff here, and it's all for the flavour. And again, this is what I like, is because this is just something you can do. You can just be like, do you want to do it? Go for it. And you don't have to have like the deck of special play cards or something, which can often just like, break it. I think it's cool just to be like, let's just roll. Let's just see what happens.
So we're going to be filming our league soon. We're going to do a 7 series and an 11 series. I would be tempted to just chuck this in for a little bit of extra narrative spice. It's not,
I think we should.
It's not massive. It could just be quite entertaining. And that's what this book gives you. You've got pitches, you've got balls, you've got wizards. Like wizards you have to buy, but pitches and balls, weather table, match events, they're all just free stuff that you can add to the game. And then there are mercenaries, which are designed to murder TOs from the inside out, which I think is also really fun. And commissioners, poor commissioners. Right, what else is on the list? Oh yeah, Blood Bowl 7s. So, already done a video for this, and it's already out because I couldn't wait, basically. As soon as I got the rules ready to go, I was like, I've got to get this out because it is 7s. We love 7s, and we now have official 7s rules. Not a lot has changed, Ben, which is magic. So, brief summary of the changes of 7s. The kickoff situation got a little bit hazy. The NAF document had a really good kind of breakdown. It'd been play tested, and kind of the way the NAF does stuff is they take a while to do stuff, but when they do it really thoroughly. Games Workshop feel like other way around, perhaps. So, key changes. Kickoff roll is just 1d6. Used to be 2d6 and a d8, take the lowest. Did you do that with your camera?
Yeah, sorry,
okay,
I clicked the button.
No, you looked surprised for a second when you just shrunk. I was like, hey, it's a stunty superstar. Yeah, Ben rolled on the Magic Events table. So, kickoff roll is now 1d6 rather than 2d6. Might see more touchbacks, but also what that does do is make kick less overpowered in 7s.
Yeah, which makes me sad because I love kick.
I love kick too, but it makes kick better, but it means that you're not always going to be putting the ball exactly where you want it, which I think competitive wise is good. Touchbacks and line of scrimmage. This is clear as mud. It's not really clear as mud, it's just weird. So technically, as it is written in 7s, you have got the no man's land, which is the 6 squares in between your 2 lines of scrimmage. Historically, the ball can land there just fine, and it's not a touchback. So you can go for cheeky onside kicks where you kick it right in front of your line of scrimmage, and it makes it quite exciting. I think it's really good. I think it's really an exciting element. They haven't put that rule in there. So at the moment, the ball is a touchback if it goes outside of your opponent's half. So if you kick it into the middle, but it is this side of the half, but still in the mid-range zone, that is a touchback. And the line of scrimmage isn't really cleared up either from a point of view of, there's a couple of things here. On the ball, currently allows you to move as long as you stay inside your own half. That's going to be a problem in 7s. And the reason that's going to be a problem in 7s is because the line of scrimmages are offset. The pitch is shorter. So you've got 13 squares from your line of scrimmage to the goal line. If you get to move 3 squares forward, you only have 10 squares. And let me tell you, as a Skaven player, I am incredibly happy about that.
Yeah.
Because that's one go for it. And you've got a touchdown.
It's pretty brutal. And it seems a bit odd as well. Like the official pitch doesn't have a clear line of script. Like it's clear what the center is, and because it folds in half, it's probably going to be, the fold line. But I feel like if the rules were written around it being the half, something clearer would have been indicated there.
There would be a halfway line. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Also, because the kickoff table mirrors Blood Bowl 2020 in every way except it's the turns for the riot has changed. So instead of being turn 6, 7, 8, it's turn 4, 5, 6. That makes sense. And where it would normally be like D6 plus 1 players do this, it's now D3 plus 1 players, which makes sense. So for a blitz, it's D3 plus 1 players rather than D6 plus 1. Makes sense. But high kick is still a result. So if the ball is high kicked and lands in your half, but beyond your line of scrimmage, you can, again, just put a gutter runner or something there to catch the ball, and you just get free movement. And if you have a high kick and you've got OTB, so if, for example, you're running Lizardman, that chameleon gets to wander 3 squares forward, and you get to move another player underneath the ball. So if that ball lands, if that ball is going to land basically at the midway mark, you move your Croxagore forward to catch the ball. It's going to fail to catch the ball. That ball is then going to be a touchback, and you can give it to whoever the heck you like. And your Crocs and your Chameleon Skink are then at the midway point.
Yeah, that's interesting.
The NAF rules cleared this up beautifully. They just said, You can't move past your line of scrimmage, and if the ball lands in the mid zone, it's free play. I feel like
if the ball anywhere but your line, beyond your line of scrimmage.
Yeah. I feel like that's a really clean way to adjust it, and I'm a bit disappointed it wasn't in the rules. But because now we're going to end up with that middle ground. Do you remember the first time you did play Super Bowl 7's one, didn't you?
Yep.
There was that big hoo-ha because the older NAF players and the people who just read it were like, well, that's a touchback. That's not a touchback. It's not in my half. Yeah, but it's in the neutrals. It was like a genuine thing. We're going to have it again now, where it's going to be like, is it a touchback? Is it not a touchback? And quite frankly, if it stays like this with OTB is going to be the new kick, because 3 free squares forward, just give it to a Minotaur, whatever. Give it to any player on the ball. You just start 3 squares closer. Dwarf Slayers are going to have on the ball because actually, LOL, quick frenzy blitz. Yeah, why not? Wow. It's incredible. Beast of Nurgle with OTB on the kickoff. They wander forward and then they are just a single walk into contact with multiple players. It's interesting and bad.
This is my theory for what will happen is there'll be an FAQ and Games Workshop will say, consider your half to be up to your line of scrimmage. And so you have your half, the opponent's half, and then also the half in between.
Yeah, I think so. So those are my recommendations for that. The injury and apothecaries change up a bit. Apothecary works on a 4+ basically if they're injured. And the injury chart, instead of rolling breaking armor, then rolling badly hurt, then rolling on the the casualty table, it's now just a single 2d6 roll. 2 to 7 stun, 8-9 knockout, 10 badly hurt, 11 miss next game, 12 dead.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. Nice and quick. I think I really like the standard casualty table. I think it adds a lot of flavour. But I do get it. It's not saying that the player is dead. It's just that it's an amateur pro league, and if they break their leg, they're cut from the team. It makes sense in that regard. Inducements. They've changed the prices of a lot of inducements. Things are different now. So building the team has stayed the same with the exception of apothecaries are now 80k. Coaches and cheerleaders are now 20k a piece, and inducement wise they've gone up to 30, and the reroll is now 150k team training for inducements, which is fine because as we've seen you can just take 2 halflings for 30k a piece with leader. They are in there. Mercenaries are in there. And player advancements have been really simplified as well when it comes to 7s. So basically, after your match, you get 2 choices. You can choose a player to get a random general, or you can roll randomly to roll a random secondary. It's interesting.
Okay, so it's a bit different. It's kind of like skips a tier.
Yeah. Now, 7s is a tricky one. So the rules as they are in this book is really high narrative. This is Blood Bowl is built and designed by Games Workshop to be a narrative game, and you're not playing competitively, you are playing a story. And they are not fussed about balance, ever. And to be honest with you, because Blood Bowl was curated by the NAF for 20 years, it has been primarily a competitive format. In a way, it's like I played to win and this is my optimal build. There's just that element of games, so it does clash. And 7s, where it was a quick play format that allowed a lot of repetition, became a fantastic resurrection format. And it still is, don't worry. But everything here is for league. Player advancements, inducements, injuries, it's all league. The only thing that's changed for a resurrection format is the rulings around touchbacks. That's basically it. Otherwise, 7 stays the same. 600k, 0 to 4 positionals. Everything else stays the same. But if you want to run a league, you can run it, and it's like Blood Bowl Light. So it's going to be really useful for new players joining. It just means if you're running a 7s tournament, like we are next year, you've got to make sure the rules are really clear. And actually, we're not far off. And it's just a couple of tweaks for Blood Bowl 7s, and you can play... I don't know, Ben. I still think the way we did 7 Super Series the first time round is the best way to play 7s.
Yeah, that was so much fun.
Yeah,
that's what 7s is, isn't it? It's just fun.
Yeah,
casual fun.
And you get it's a quick way to try out some new skills.
Yeah.
And Blood Bowl 7's in the rulebook. I like it. 7's is here. The pitch is here. actually just brew up a rule book, a rule set like we're going to be doing for kind of halfway. This is heavy league. You can play full Resurrection. 7 Super Series format is halfway in between that. It's Resurrection with incremental growth that maintains balance roughly. You get your story, but each game is independent. And I really like the way we did that. And I think it's still the best way, and the rules support it. That brings us full completion of talking about Death Zone. We only really went into detail on a couple of areas. That's how much is in this book. Ben, what do you think? Final thoughts?
I think we're going to be talking about this book for a little bit long, like for a while longer on the podcast. Like it's really cool. I'm a huge fan of this book, and I think it's a really good move on Games Workshop. I think that making Sevens official is fantastic. Just giving all these completely optional but extremely fun things you can insert into your game in one place as well.
Yeah,
having it just in one book is really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's really cool. It's entirely optional. I don't think people should feel compelled they need it to play their game. I think I can imagine a lot of these things won't come up in a lot of leagues, and probably even in our league. I imagine there'll be, a lot of games where it's just not used. But I think the games that it is, it's really cool.
I agree. It's just a selection box of stuff you can add to the game, and I think it's awesome. And it's a bit of a shame that Sevens is in this book. Because everything else is about narrative expansion, and then you've got this extra little play mode at the end. But it's only like 4 pages or 6 pages, so I'm a bit surprised it isn't its own little thing, and I think it's going to be a little PDF download because of the way it's written.
Yeah, especially with rules, like when it's like you say, a whole new game mode. I think that should be a PDF.
I think there's going to be a cheeky little PDF for Sevens, and it makes sense. I love it. This is the best Blood Bowl product we've had since Spike 11. Which was my favourite Spike. Spike 12, not as good as Spike 11. But everything I loved about Spike 11, they've expanded on in Death Zone and then added Sevens and Giants. So...
and loads of it.
Mate, it's ridiculous. There is nothing missing from this book, really. And there's still a ton of design space. But they've filled out really nicely. And if you like Blood Bowl at all, you're going to love reading through this. And if you have a local friendly league or a family league or a narrative league, this is full of stuff. If you're a competitive player, probably not for you. But there's elements here you can add in. And if you want to build a tournament, get this book. If you want to build and run a tournament, because you can close your eyes, flip through the pages, choose a page, and then do it again, and those will be the 2 defining elements of your tournament, and it doesn't matter which pages you pick on. We are going to be playing on this pitch, and the random rule is that we are having Giants. Okay, sweet. You know what? Let me know. I'm coming to that tournament. But yeah, and that's it. Like, Ben, we've talked about this ages, Yeah. That's it, We're going to have mercenaries and summer weather. It's just awesome. I love it. I really, really, really love it. Okay, Ben, I think... we're ready to wrap up the show for today.
Yeah.
Good to go?
All good.
Fantastic. Okay, guys, thank you very much for watching and for listening. Thank you for supporting us. Let us know what you think of Death Zone, because I'm proper psyched. And I hope your copy turns up in time. And I hope that things are okay. And I hope that you get that copy of Death Zone. And we're going to call it now before Ben tells me off again. And... and I'm going to go apologise to Tiff for calling it glassware. And we'll be back again soon. I will. Yeah, I will. I'm just going to call it cups and stuff from now on and see how that goes. Right, BT, thanks ever so much for chatting Blood Bowl, man. Love it. And we'll be back soon. Happy blocking, everybody. Stay safe and enjoy Death Zone. See you later.
Bye.